who needs that thing done, that we refer only that person. So for me, I would be the realtor they refer. For them, I would refer them for the roof, for the HVAC, for
That
the,
kind of refer, okay,
Mhm.
perfect. Yeah, put
and
me on it, I'm excellent.
talk about increasing your,
Yeah,
and I'm like, you know what are the rules here? Are there rules for this? There's no rules. You can do your own thing.
there aren't any rules, all we have to do is just be careful as realtors is say, oh, you know, Bob's got a place for sale for X amount of dollars, but we'll take this, but in a referral group, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is a referral group would be a better idea. So, man, I put it out on Facebook.
I was.
I got
Am I in there?
I don't know, I put it out in Bolivar's.
Okay.
Did you comment?
He's a.
Not yet, I haven't been on
You know,
Facebook.
I'd be
yet.
happy.
So a
to
lot of the
do this
guys that
with
he
you.
works with,
Oh, we could
they
do it.
work for
I'm
big
next
commercial
Saturday,
companies, but they run some
Smith's,
stuff on the side when it
11:30.
comes to residential, so.
Who?
The 10th.
Oh,
does he- and
Smith,
he have
yes,
his
yes,
own
yes, yes,
company
yes,
that he
yes,
does
gotcha.
Because you
contracting
can't find a room in
No,
Bolivar,
so
and I'm like, let's just have
he works
lunch,
for
and then
Snyder.
that pays
He's a
for the
commercial
room.
contracting
Yeah.
company,
If
and
everybody
then he
orders
does
food,
his
that's all they
own
care
like
about.
general.
Yeah,
code
because I was thinking the last place I
residential
did it was
stuff.
in
Yeah.
Stockton.
'Cause he's the one who did ours
That's
and,
not
like,
Bolivar.
He'll take on like
The
remodels
last
and
place that
stuff
we
like
did
that for
anything in
people.
Bolivar together.
We
was
eventually
at
are probably gonna
Boone's.
get more into the building side of things.
Yeah, we
Because
could have
my
gone
dad
to
has always
but
done.
I
Right.
don't really like things, so.
I
I'm
think
not really
gonna
like
try to get out of
Smith's either,
it,
but
so
it-
Connor wants to take that over.
there's
My
more
dad
options.
just was never taught how
So,
to run a
business,
business, so
yeah.
when my husband
you
says
want to
like,
join,
I wanna do that,
that
he's
would
like,
be
don't
fine.
do
What I
this, why would you,
don't
you
do-
know, so.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you could
Because
take
my dad went
anything in
through
Stockton.
Recession
and I don't have to
and
deal with it.
everything
I
and.
can do
As
that.
long, as long
That's
as you
what it's all
plan.
about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not
Yes,
greedy.
because
May-
you know what?
But what
I
I
may-
want is
it's
a
funny,
place
we-
that, or is people, but we're gonna have to like, we're gonna have to interview
Your
people.
husband
We're gonna
is
have
Oh,
to
yeah.
get
personal house.
Yeah.
because
references, and we're gonna have to
Talking
call them
about-
and talk to the homeowners and the people they've done work for. Here's the cool thing. I got a call from a guy in Stockton yesterday
Different side,
that
but-
wants to do this. His name is John Adams. And
Adams,
he,
I've got, I
And our boys.
he does the
He's
drone
upstairs.
and
Oh, yeah.
pictures and
So,
stuff.
oh, yeah, I've got
We
him.
talked
No.
for a long time.
Wow, with you, I could imagine that.
Well, it was him more than me, but. he
Yeah,
really
that's the-
did
You know,
have,
what-
Yeah.
whatever
like,
that looks
I mean,
like.
I
Yeah,
think
I would
already
totally
that
give him
he's
a call.
somebody we wanna bring on.
He's
Yeah,
funny
I have
because
him in
it's
my-
we started
somehow I
dating at
recognize that
18,
name.
so
Yeah.
I
And
still see,
photography,
you know, Connor,
I
and
think
separate
that's
professions.
where I know him at.
So when,
He
like
does
yesterday,
drone work
I had
and
gotten her
photography
referral, I
work,
normally
and
don't
he
do a lot
works
of
a
real
lot
estate,
for
but
realtors in
I had a
Stockton.
listing and it's under contract.
The only thing
There's this
is,
whole, we're supposed to
if somebody
close,
asks
they
him
didn't like
to
the crawl
use,
space
I'm going to want
repairs.
him to
They wanted
say,
something replaced, even
you
though they
know,
asked for
for
it to
me,
be
instead of like.
repaired, and the
Emily,
specialist
Mel,
said,
or
it just
who
needed
I love,
repaired.
by the way.
So anyways, I called him and I'm
She's
like,
super
"Hey,
sweet.
I think she's at a.
the buyer or the buyer
she
and
have a
buyer's
funeral this
agent wanna
weekend?
meet
I
a
don't know. I didn't
subcontractor out
see
there.
that.
Who's she with?
And like, obviously I'll
Emily?
be
She
there,
has
but I
her
was
own
like, can
business.
you
Her own.
please?
I don't know.
And he was like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm
He was
trying
like,
to
I
do-
just
I'm not
don't
working it.
know anything like real estate wise, so
I'm not
I
trying to
The
do that,
way,
working
the
it.
way
I
I
probably won't need you.
met her.
Like comes out and talks the whole time.
Yeah.
was
Because it was
I-
only
when we were
about
getting
like
out of debt, so that
what
we
they
didn't
were
have to
doing
go
and
to debt.
why, and
Um,
so he was
She
able
needed
to
a desk
explain
redone
like
for her office
everything, and
that
even
she
the
was
subcontractor
really
didn't have to talk
monitoring.
very much, which he knew
And she
them
brought me
anyways,
this
is how I got the
Yeah.
connection to
desk,
call
and
them.
we did it.
But it was, I was
Do
like,
that stuff.
Well, I
it was
used to, I
had
don't
to do with
know.
like crawl space
I did
foundation
it,
stuff,
but it
and
gets
I was just like,
hard,
you know all of this.
on your body.
I know how.
I told him afterwards, I was like,
But I did
Sure.
I was like, you
years
know
when I
quite a
did
bit.
more than
He's
I
like,
did
Tori, this
teaching,
is
and
what
I
I
got
do
us
all the
over
time. He's
Yeah.
like, you
$2,000 in
complain it.
debt,
How
including
often
our
I work,
house.
like I should know this
Well,
stuff. I was like,
the house
That's true.
Like,
Good-
how'd
good
you
call.
do? Or
Good
else,
call.
what have you been doing, buddy?
Good
So,
call, very
Don't
good.
be
Yeah,
in
no,
it.
just let me
We
know.
bought
He's
it
Okay,
really
yeah.
great.
in
He's
16,
a
and it's paid
real,
off.
That's great.
like,
That's great.
sharpshooter, like he'll tell
And
you.
now we don't.
Yeah, and that's kind of where
Exactly,
we,
if it's a good idea, not how much it's gonna be and
I
what you
mean, we
could,
didn't.
yeah.
have credit
that's what
card debt
we're,
anyway
because
then.
we
I am,
downsized
Mhm.
and
Debt-free
last
and I'm
year.
homeless.
Yeah.
And.
Everything's in my boys' names.
Gotten the
I don't own it all.
and-
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, so-
I am, I've owned it.
Yeah, so it's
You're
like-
Should we do this or that?
And it was
Give
what
me
it
a
was.
travel
I
trailer
walked
in
up
March.
there last night.
Just a little
and
one,
I-
two-man travel trailer.
I
That's
But I think
a good
I'm gonna.
15-year-old
because my
turned like
problem
you.
is,
Open the
I
door
don't have a problem, but
and
the
like
issue
his
is.
closet juts out, is right there.
The situation
And I
I'm
was
trying
like,
to correct
and then
is, I'm in Stockton.
Bed sits is just
And-
attic space, but it's the
It's
slope
nice
of
to come
roof.
up here and be around.
And so I was
Yeah.
like,
Good people, and meet people like you.
demo this.
Right.
Out.
Not that guy. of
That
course.
adds.
Yeah.
And then in.
Anyway,
in that
so
other
thinking
space,
about
if
just
we
parking in
expanded it,
somewhere
and then
at
walk
like
into
a
the
little,
closet,
Yeah.
he would, all of a sudden now he has
I hope I can
RV
find a.
park or
huge amount of
something?
room, and I
Yeah,
assume
but I wanna
that's.
find somewhere good, cause my son was like, yeah, dad, you're gonna love that, you're gonna get
Just
into a
So
parking
you
lot.
have a
with a-
house, it's just in his name.
Yeah, I've got two houses, three
Finishing
houses.
up the garage.
I got two
and building
sons.
an attached
I
garage.
got
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
You know, are kind of the two.
Yeah, I've got.
Yeah.
These are the thoughts, but I'm like,
Really
this
cool.
is probably cheaper,
But,
even though it seems a lot more technical to me.
I know,
Right.
get ready
You're
to
talking
move
But
back.
about-
overall, rather than building a whole
I'm
A
garage.
whole
serious,
garage,
and I
and that
think
would
we
be
are.
moving a septic.
Um,
or
But yeah, I
connecting the
would've
cities
just
to
parked
it,
in
not
trailer
just-
or
not
somewhere,
really
so I
moving
just
a
get
Yeah.
septic, But,
Cause what I've been doing, before is
$3,500
just
to
renting a
tack.
room up at,
and then the
Corridor
bid I
Road
got
out there at
was,
Bypass and Kearney Street, cause they know me there and they.
I'll
give me
say,
a deal.
the bid I got for the whole project
Staying
was
up here?
$6,000 to
Staying up
connect
here?
Well,
plus.
just
It's not that far to go home.
periodically.
And then I talked to another company
friend
that said only like $1,500 to lay the pipe,
Our friend.
but they didn't do any of the
Benefits.
digging
Yep.
for the pipe. So it's
course.
kind of
I have
you know,
a
like,
friend. Can you believe it?
so that's why I'm like, well, I'll just use that big number, even though
Yeah.
I think it's
I don't know
probably,
how that happened.
Yeah.
it's probably high,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah,
not too.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, just let me
because
know.
Alright,
you
Hey,
would
does
believe
anyone
that
have
I
any
couldn't
cards
do
for me real quick?
What?
Any cards for me to mail off?
I don't have any to mail out, but I'll take some because I do a lot of it. I just didn't, yeah,
You betcha, just bring them back to me next time.
I will.
Yeah,
In fact, I'll probably have them for you later today.
that would be awesome. David, do you have any cards to mail out?
I don't.
Okay, cool. No biggie. All right, you guys are stuck with Guy again,
I
so.
have them, but I
Be
do
nice
something
to 'em.
special to them at home with my stamp and my washi tape, and I didn't do that last night, so
Okay,
I don't
cool.
have any to give you.
That's all right. I'll be here tomorrow too. You know where to find me.
Thank you.
All right, have fun, guys.
Of course, they're with me. We'll have fun. I don't know, they were all here yesterday. I ran them off, I guess. I don't
I
know.
have never been here with the same group. Not twice.
I haven't either.
Who's online? See if,
We got Mary online.
hi, Mary.
Mary used to live in Bolivar.
Melissa and Madeline are online.
Liliana's not online?
No.
Hello, Madeline.
Hello.
Hello.
Mary. Hi, Madeline.
Hello. All right. Well, I don't think you've been here the last 2 days, so I'm Guy. You're the only one that doesn't know me, but I've been here since Monday and we'll be here with you tomorrow. So Guy Calloway.
I'm Brad Middlemas.
Oh, you're blind. Oh, so you're Brad that's been online?
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I've been
So you have been here.
Yeah, I've been here.
You've been driving. I like it. Very good.
I've been here, I'm just in the process of writing an offer and, sometimes, I don't wanna hurt your feelings, but there's just things about making money and putting money in the bank versus sitting and trading.
Hey, I get it. Hey, I get it. You gotta find a way to balance them out for sure.
Yes,
So,
sir. Yes, sir.
I get it. That's what we are here for. So we are, yesterday we talked about the converting leads into contracts and creating a profitable business, making money, which what it's about. Today's the third step of the lead follow-up, and we're gonna talk about strengthening relationships. And to follow up with contacts and explore the tools you can leverage to make follow-up systematic, which is always beneficial. And so let's, quick digest on what challenges did we have yesterday to today?
Well, you're talking about being systematic and using our systems, which is Command. I am putting so much stuff into Command that my follow-up is like, wow, I've got to follow this many people today. But we have to,
I
right?
know, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
I don't do it. I
but
mean, I know I should, but
I like it. Command's good. It
it
puts it together.
is, it is, it's a
But-
beast.
Where's there a point, when's the point when you have to, not have to, when you wanna hire somebody? Maybe somebody, okay, let's ask this question. Could you, without a license, just follow up with my people saying, hey, did you get my, I sent you some stuff in the mail. Did you get it?
If they're
You know.
talking real estate, my understanding, I am not an attorney.
No, if they're talking real estate, you can't.
Yeah, if you have any conversation about real estate, they can't, but there are unlicensed assistants
Yeah. Anyway.
that do some things. So I mean, there's a balancing act there that you can use. So, depends on how that is. And again, where the, kind of the theme of the week in a way we've talked about a couple of times is that effective versus efficient, where is that really balancing act out? So, and figuring out, all right, do I need to kind of creating a system? I've got 20 people to follow up today. That's too much. But what if I change that and decided to follow up with 5 people over the next 4 days? Could I accomplish that?
Maybe I should just really look at them and change the SMART plan.
Yeah.
And maybe okay, yeah.
That could help you, and there is I believe, and there is a SMART plan just on, like your quarterly calls, like if it's calls that are based on their last name.
Yep, I've got that one too. I got all that, yeah.
So.
I think it's A&W and text P or something like that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of some ways to do that.
D2 or whatever.
Yeah, there you go, D2, RTD2 is what I always say,
Yeah.
where my mind goes. Yeah, that's, so anything else anyone encountered from yesterday afternoon to today?
I had 2 houses that I showed and my buyer was very interested in, and both of them went under contract.
What are they looking for?
Looking for a flipper under 100,
Okay,
Yeah.
and those are apparently
Under contract quick.
go quick.
yeah, that would be, those are challenges. Okay.
Do you have their financials?
It's cash.
I mean, you have proof that they have money in the bank? Got a letter from the bank?
Proof of funds.
Well, it's a family member, so
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident.
Yeah, so.
It's not
But those get to be challenging, from another way to attack that. There are, I don't know if you know, Zach Riggs, Evan Ryan, and then somebody that's not with Keller
I love
Williams.
Evan.
Scott Nichols, a friend of mine, he's with Murney. They all do some wholesaling,
Okay.
so may have some properties off the market.
Oh, wholesaling.
Yeah, so they may have they're worth a conversation with. And there are others that might have them too, whether it's, Wes Litton Keats, Colton Moose does a lot with investors as well. So just some others here with KW that, that may be a direct conversation with them. If you want to talk more on that,
Okay.
I can help, just some ideas that may, depending on what they're looking for, there may be some ways to do that. So,
Okay.
So Guy, what would be your script with his buyers? Like, they lost them real quick. What would you say to them next time around? Or what would you say to them to get them more encouraged to be ready to rock and roll next time around?
So I would say with an investor, my script is very different. So if I was thinking of it, if it's a retail buyer, looking for their first home, obviously we're going to talk more about speed or how we can make that offer better. As an investor, most of the time, the investors I like to work with, we are very much a business relationship. They're making the offer that makes sense to them. We have as much facts as we can at the time. We're gonna make the offer, and if we don't get it, it's okay. Because doing anything different, I've actually only had one ever. They're working on it now. It's a flip. And they got multiple offers on it. And they came back because they liked our offer the best because it was cash, a quick close. We did, and we raised our offer $2,000 to match one of the other offers. So, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it didn't, but again, that we really wanted them offer 155. We offered 165, which is what they're asking for it, and ended up paying 167. So, now a unique thing that we've done with those specifically, part of it, we did, I can tell you a challenge they had too, but they will write, they used to, especially when they're doing lower priced ones, their cash, they would put the entire offer price in earnest money. So that might, so
Wow.
when you talk about cash, they're like, oh, it's all gonna be sitting there, ready when it closes. It doesn't matter to the they're buying it as is, where is, so for them, they're putting it, they're moving the money early is all they're doing.
Right.
You're losing some interest, but the biggest one, I know we did one that was 80,000 like that.
Yeah.
So in this offer that we just had, we put $50,000 earnest money. We weren't gonna put the whole amount because of some challenges.
That's
Now,
cool.
you always want to work with, I would always make sure you have a conversation with the title company. The one thing we learned on this one is because of how it was closing, they wouldn't take the personal check or whatever. Well, you know what I mean? Because of the dollar amount and how fast it closed it, for clearing purposes.
Got the
But
question.
How fast can those go? If there's no inspection, as is, it's.
how fast the seller or the title depends on how fast the seller can be out, but I do them.
Vacant.
Yeah, vacant.
These are all vacant.
Yeah, all vacant, so it could be 7 to 10 days, so I always write them, usually I'll put it to 10 days, but especially if you've got if the people have bought more than one and they've got a relationship with the title company and there's not they've got the documentation that's necessary. But yeah, usually a cash deal can be done in 7 days probably. Obviously, I'll probably have some that might be able to do it faster because I've done a lot of business with them, so they'll bend over, you know what I mean, but.
Yeah, sure.
So that's part of building, strengthening relationships that we're talking about today, which can be with your vendor partners as well, so.
I know you're trying to get back to the subject on hand, but
No,
how did the conversation go? What happened?
With them,
Yeah, it
with the
You
client?
said you had made 2 offers and they
No, we
all-
didn't make, no offers. We went and looked at them and he
Oh,
was
okay.
interested
They
in,
were already under.
and then,
Yeah.
and then one, she just wrote and said, yeah, we just got an offer, and the other one we looked at. Technically, while we were looking at it, they got an offer at noon and we were there at 2:30.
They should, to serve their clients the best, they should have waited to hear for an offer for you and told you guys highest and best.
Yeah.
Because they didn't do their best job for their client.
Maybe, maybe not. I'm gonna say that's not always so, and I'm playing a little devil's advocate, but there are always times where that's not the best thing for your client. And, I can say where I've had a situation where
If it's your seller though.
but even then, a seller may.
Well, we hadn't even seen it. We just
So-
going, looking at it for the first time,
Oh.
and he was like, oh, this is really nice. I'm gonna bring my builder out here tomorrow. And-
Yeah.
And then boom, it's gone.
So they weren't ready to make
No, they weren't
and
ready to
that's,
make it,
and that's the challenge with investors, because you're making a business decision, and sometimes you don't want to become emotionally attached, that's why I said, part of that conversation is there's 2 sides to that conversation. But there are times where, I think making sure your clients get to make that decision on, do we want to keep it open and wait for more offers? Sometimes having a decision quick. If there was a cash offer that expired at noon already on the table that fit really what they were needing, then.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. If it's time stamped, it might be to the benefit of the seller to go ahead and take a bird in hand instead of 2 in the bush.
Yeah. And I will say that most of the time, now, when you're in a quick multiple offer situation, this is not the case, but you always want to be careful anytime you let an offer expire. Because you could, many times if we get the first offer on a listing and we don't get that under contract, say we negotiate back and forth, it doesn't work out. A lot of times you'll wish you had that offer back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people will move to another property and you thought, there was negotiation there, you thought that was a really strong offer by talking to the other agent and that the people were gonna stay in the saddle, and all of a sudden they're
They just
gone.
bailed.
Yeah.
They just bail. So you have to counsel your seller in a way that he or she understands
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, the emotional tie. to-
Especially investor.
Yeah, but yes, to Sherry's point, for the most part, if you've got the seller, you want to do whatever you can to get as many offers in there at
Right.
one point, I've had some where it may have backfired a little bit on us, where
Yeah.
we didn't necessarily get more. And part of it, I'll actually share the property we got under contract last weekend. We got two offers. We had two other people that wanted to make offers, but they didn't think they could compete. And our first offer was cash at just right at list price, or $100 over list. And the other offer was $1,000 above that with an escalation up to 410, so 400, 401 to 410. But the one was cash, and with them, at that point, we really could only look at them at $1,000 difference.
Right.
And so I had the conversation with my sellers, what if that offer was 405? And they're like, well, if we get them there, maybe, but so they stuck with the cash at 400. And I really believe had that buyer's agent written just a strong offer at 405, their buyers probably get the house.
Right.
But, so some of that, the escalation sounded good in a multiple offer situation, but you have to know kind of what you're dealing with, so.
Yeah.
So everybody knows that and I'm gonna back out, but everybody knows that when you make an offer with cash, it's just closing time, it's different. Otherwise, because the seller always gets money in their bank, right?
Yep.
The cash thing is this, we can close in 10 days, 7 days, 15 days.
But also, you don't have to go through all the stuff that the banks make you go through.
The appraisal is the other thing, and that's the timeline, but it's the appraisal.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes, I will tell people often that sometimes cash buyers are the worst because they think their offer, they have less skin in the game. They're less committed, if you think about this. And I'm just, your face, you're like, what?
Exactly, what do you
But
say?
think about it. So if I've got a buyer with cash and I've got the money sitting in the bank and I make an offer on the house and I'm gonna have an inspection and all this, well, if you won't do what I want, I've still got my money in the bank and I'm not out anything.
Right.
If I'm getting a loan, I'm now through this process with the bank, the appraisal's ordered that, so there's a commitment.
Not $1,000.
Yeah, there's
Hard to spend.
there's a commitment when they're getting a loan, because they've also got the lender pushing them to get the information. So it's just a different, it's a mindset, you never know what you're gonna get, but it's just, it's interesting. Some of the ones that have gone more sideways near the end have been cash, people like when I was like on the listing side, it's some cash buyers that were,
Something I would say that you glazed over that would really help you in working with investors. Your offer is gonna be a lot stronger with proof of funds,
Okay.
whether that's a snapshot, even on a phone
Okay.
of a bank statement
Mhm.
with the account number blocked out.
Mhm.
Or if it's putting it down as earnest money,
Okay.
because then they know that the money's there
Mhm.
and that it's accounted for. And that's probably a strong offer. And they may even, I've had people take that offer when there was an 80-20 loan for another investor that was a little bit higher. Just because they don't have to deal with
All that.
jumping through
And
those
it's gonna be
hoops.
quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So moving on to something different.
Great idea. Sorry, I distracted you.
No, I think
That's
that's,
like
hey,
role-playing,
hey,
right?
this
Yeah,
is a
it's
good
like role-playing.
conversation to have, I mean, ultimately, that's where we want to get, is we're building these
Yeah,
and like I said, it's funny how some of it does tie into the relationships you build, so.
yeah,
Especially working with investors we're talking about building relationships, but part of that, depending on who you're working with, could be other agents. It can be your title company and how quick you can get something done. Which can help your offers. It could be the lender relationship that you have that helps you get those done quick. You know what I mean? There's a lot to this.
yeah.
That when we talk about real estate being a relationship business, there are lots of relationships going on that we're working through for sure. So.
Let me ask you a question that
Yes.
pertains to that. So it was really pushed the first week of class, and I know there's a lot of new people online and there's a lot of new people in the room. And it was really pushed that don't ever recommend just one person for anything as it pertains to real estate. Always recommend at least 3. Frankly, I don't always do that.
Right.
Now, I will, if I recommend just one vendor, I will, be sure and tell the seller or the buyer, whichever it may be, that, I'm recommending this person because I've got a history with them and I know them to be consistent, high integrity, so on and so forth, but I'm also saying, if you know somebody, or if you know somebody that knows somebody, please shop.
Yeah.
But this is someone that I super trust,
Right. Yeah.
and because my relationship with them, usually they end up using the person. But are you a proponent of always saying there's 3 people
I'm
or?
being recorded. No.
Okay, you don't have to
I
answer
don't,
that.
no, it is what it is. I do not always either. And part of that is sometimes it depends.
It depends on the
So
person,
it
yeah.
depends on the buyer, so if we're talking lenders specifically, if somebody is really, really rate conscious, yeah, I'm gonna give them multiples and say you should shop it. If
Yeah.
that's what your goal is.
Yeah,
I've got a lender that I absolutely love and actually has done outside of my investment property, they, has done every one of my personal loans,
yeah,
helped every one of my family members. But if I was to give a specialty to them, it is her education process with first-time home buyers and making home buyers feel comfortable. So that's where she is, absolutely knocks it out of the park. She is a little old school, likes to meet with people belly to belly and go through an application process, not just an online process. From that side. So if I got someone like that, I'm gonna lean that way, but we do have to, based on licensing, it does say that we should recommend 3 different ones. I had an inspector once tell me that his insurance covers if we offer, only recommend 1.
Interesting.
I don't know. So usually like with inspectors, I'm pretty good at recommending multiple ones and, I'll recommend, hey, I've got this inspector, he is a one-man show. He's the one that inspects the property and does a really good job. I also work with this company that they've got a great system. They've got multiple inspectors and they do everything the same every single time. Both are phenomenal. I've had one in the past that if you were gonna be at the inspection, he does the best job going through the inspection with you. He's got the personal skills to do that. Others, if you're not gonna be at the inspection, it doesn't matter who the inspector is
Yeah.
because they're just gonna send you a form anyways. Like it doesn't, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yes and no to your point, I
Yeah.
do it both.
And those are probably the 2 categories that we do need to be really careful with as lenders and inspectors, because those are gonna be scrutinized
Yes.
heavier than a repairman or a handyman.
Yes, yes.
Whatever.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about today applying follow-up principles for leads to contacts, 36 to convert touch campaigns, and developing strategy to grow the number of contacts in the database.
Okay.
So what, when we talk about that, anything specific you're looking for today? Or questions that you're gonna have?
Well, I'm driving out of my area on RB Road away from Pomme de Terre. And there's a sign in the yard of a person that I was working with a little bit, never made phone contact, but texted quite a bit, of another realtor, so. I mean, it happens, no big
Yeah,
deal. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I'm just thinking about that relationship. I probably should have went and knocked on their door. Cause what I did is I got a word of mouth from a friend that works at the convenience store at the end of the little area, which is the only place to shop in the area, cause we're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so anyway, there you go.
Yeah, and that may go a little to, one yesterday, as far as asking for the appointment.
Mhm.
Making sure we, in those situations, because I've been there, done that, actually, well. Been there, done that, have a t-shirt, and, but you're, we may have missed, not being in the whole conversation, the opportunity to get on the phone with them and say, hey, when can we meet? Or even if it was by text, but making sure we get and set that appointment.
Right.
And to that, I had this is not a big, we talked about spokes and places we get leads from yesterday. This is not a huge lead generation source, but it is a lead generation source that I have, and that's some relationship with some estate attorneys. And so, and they have probate, getting them. And so I had a call last night from the paralegal, hey, this person's gonna give you a call. And they called me this morning and we had a conversation today, and I almost missed the opportunity. So I already knew that they were doing it and going to sell. So when I work with probate, so I have a letter that I prepare for the value for the attorney as they work on that with the estate, is how I do that. And if they are just wanting me to do that, I have a fee that I charge and I make some money that way, depending on what that is, right? And so I knew that, but I didn't communicate some of this real well. So I was like, I just started asking her, what are your plans with it? She goes, well, it's the only money that we have. We're going to sell it. I was like, great. I was like, well, I'll get it done within the next 24 hours. She's like, well, wait, how do you get paid? And I was like, so glad you asked that, because I didn't talk about it. So I typically charge $500, or in this case, I was going to charge her $500. I would have charged $500 for this. But since you're going to sell it, if I'm going to list it, I don't charge anything for it. This is just me doing a CMA that I would do for anybody. I'm just putting it in writing, in a more formalized plan. But if I'm going to list the property, I'm not charging money today and then commission down there. And she goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yes, I'm going to have you list it. So, it's kind of one of those, but I could have missed the boat because she was planning on selling it. And had I not talked specifically in that manner, she may have let me do this and gone and hired another real estate agent. So being real specific is very important. So,
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Are we still asking questions of what we want to learn?
if you got some.
You're probably not going to address this. Because it may be.
Challenge accepted.
It may be too deep.
Yeah.
For an entry-level class, but I was just curious what CMA you use and why.
Okay.
Right.
And if we don't get there, that's okay. I can get with you private.
Yeah, but that's a good topic. If we can get some time to talk about it. I actually was working on that property, working on multiple levels that I have started doing some things a little differently because we've got other resources out there besides just
GSBR.
just GSBOR and just surface level. I have started pulling comps and I do my comps. I've got a strategic way I do comps. I have also started utilizing RPR to pull and get an automated value to see how that's matching up and just being able to compare multiple numbers, especially when there are limited comps for a property. So that's something and sometimes that validates it. Sometimes you need to update what's in RPR, that it's not accurate information about a house, but and recently I used it with my mom's gonna sell some rentals that she has, and we were actually getting an estate letter for her. I was not doing that one. We didn't, but that was, I had pulled some of that stuff with RPR in my own comps and, kind of when I married some of that up, it matched really well with what the person prepared as well. So got pretty, just another way to do it and kind of validate some of your information and give another topic of another communication piece with the seller. So I have used that more recently. It's not something I used to do.
So all of that is past data, right?
Yes.
Do you put a lot of emphasis on current data?
Yes, so when I pull out of Flex, I pull active, pending, and closed. So your closed or past, pending or active or future business, and pending are current, but we don't know what.
Really know what the number.
Yeah, we don't know what the number is, but it allows us to see. So if you've got a house and pick a neighbor, pick what I'll just say Ozark, North Elementary School District, because I'm in Ozark, I'm probably gonna pull based on the elementary schools,
Right.
So if I've got that, and there are 6 active listings and 1 pending listing and a few, whatever the number are, closed, I'm gonna look at that. The closed might help me see what the home sold for. But with 6 active and only 1 pending, does that mean there's not a market for those houses? And I'm gonna start comparing, are those active houses listed higher than the closed properties? So if they're listed the same price as the closed properties and there's only 1 pending and those houses have been on the market 30 days, we may not have a market for those houses right now. So that's something we have, that would be a point where when you look at Shift, okay, we've talked about the book Shift, where you price ahead of the market. And so maybe you want to price under those comps. And then same thing going on if you've got 1 active, 5 pending, then you may want to price ahead of the market and maybe you're just above it. And that's somewhat what Shift talks about. My goal when I do CMA is I want to talk about where the house positions itself as one of the top 3 homes in whatever's out there. So that way I know we're getting the showings. You want somebody picking from those top 3 from that side. And but I do not ever give a specific price on a CMA. I give a range. I actually have a spreadsheet I use. I break it down so I show what their net is. I do a net sheet for 3 different prices for a seller. And that way, and I show what my commission is. I show it not in a percentage, I show it in dollar amounts. Doesn't matter if it's a $1.5 million house or a $60,000 house. I show what the number is so they see that. Then I don't know. It's just something I've always thought was.
That's good.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, I'm showing them, you don't care what I sell the house for. you care what the bottom line is.
What the net is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I do build in their title fees, their taxes, and I do 0.5% for inspection repairs. It's built into my formula so that, you know, we're able to talk through that. And then depending on the market, if they're gonna have to uncover for a septic, if I think buyers are gonna ask for closing cost, I can put some of those numbers in there as well. So,
Mhm.
you know, it's just something I do that on that whole process. So we took a detour, but I think good learning. So good opportunity, right?
So you said you do a net sheet for 3 different prices. Is that like a high, medium, low?
Yeah.
Like based on what you found on? Because see, when I do a CMA for someone, they have that page where you're supposed to like add or subtract, and I'm like, I don't know what to add or subtract there.
That's,
Fireplace,
yeah, that's,
What?
the fireplace. I was being sarcastic.
oh, is that what you mean? Like on the,
On values, so maybe one house isn't as updated as the other house.
oh, yeah.
So how much do you know to take off, or are you taking it off of your house, or I'm confused.
I don't do quite like that.
You don't
so-
do that page at all, because I skip it too,
Yeah,
so.
I don't use that form, I guess, you know, I don't know
It's
exactly.
on the, it's the CMA, when you're
Yeah.
going through a full CMA.
Okay.
For someone?
Doing a full CMA on MLS, I see what you're saying. So I don't do that. I do a quick search and do it based on closed, pending,
Okay.
and active listings. And
Even though
then-
they're not in the area, I mean, that's gonna give you, I guess
gotta
you
be
can
in the
map
area.
areas.
I do my searches, so my most important searches when I'm doing a CMA are size, year built, and location. So, and it depends on where it's at, what that location is. So like in Ozark, since that's, you know, I do more CMAs than Ozark, I'm usually doing the elementary school district first, unless it's a unique neighborhood. So like if it was in Fremont Hills, I'm gonna only do Fremont Hills or Village of Hillstone. But a lot of the other, you know, if it's got a defined neighborhood, and I guess I should back that up. I will always start with the neighborhood if there's if it's part of a neighborhood. So,
Right.
because those are the homes that are exactly like it. And when you look at Ozark specifically, we have smaller neighborhoods that are the same, you know, so it may only be 120 homes in the neighborhood that were all built at the same time. And then, so, I used to live in Apple Creek, so I like to use it. Apple Creek was built in the late 90s, early 2000s. Barrington Springs was built in starting in 2003. So they had some overlap there. But Barrington has an HOA, they're all brick homes. And their walkouts were bigger. So although their proximity, it makes a whole lot of sense. And they feel very similarly. There are some differences that you gotta be careful of, you know, so anyways. All right. So people work with an agent when they're in close emotional proximity to them. Is the strongest at the time when they're ready to transact. So as real estate professionals, we can't control when that moment happens. People will be ready to buy or sell on their timelines. And we've talked a little bit about that, you know, as we go. So what we can control is our influence on emotional proximity to the people in our world through our follow-up and controlling the frequency and intensity that we communicate and talk to them. So what mindset do we need to adapt to successfully nurture relationships with contacts?
The mindset of, the mindset of the person that we're wanting to develop the relationship with, that they may have the mindset of fear, they may have skepticism, however you say that word. We have to accept the fact that they are nervous about the relationship too,
Yep.
I guess.
I think confidence and attitude, like a positive attitude.
Yep.
We're talking about nurturing.
Nurture, yeah, what mindset do we need to adapt to be successful as we, to nurture relationships with condos?
I always think of course, I'm old school. I always think of Zig Ziglar.
I love him.
At the top.
Yeah,
Who's that?
You help enough people.
Are you kidding?
I'm kidding.
Okay.
You're as old as I am, so.
Go ahead.
So if you help enough people with what they want, you'll get what you want. We'll see each other at the top. And so my nurturing is not just real estate, but what's important to that person, to that family. And how can I be a part of the solutions that they're looking for? And I feel like as you nurture relationships that way, real estate comes up. I mean, buying and selling and investing, they just come into the conversation. It's good what we've talked about here for 2 weeks. It's good to make sure that you're intentional, in your relationships, and especially when you're just building that relationship. You don't want to find out that you didn't mention you were in real estate and they listed with somebody else and you've had an ongoing relationship for a month, and had some good coffee together, but they don't know you're a real estate agent. So there's, extremes on both sides, but that's what I think of when I think of nurturing, is just how can I, and Keller Williams talks about it all the time. How do I add value? How do I help people in whatever it is they're wanting or needing?
absolutely. Coming from contribution, and that I thought of when I read this question. A topic out there is the imposter syndrome. And I think sometimes as real estate agents, we can be, especially when you get a closing or two and you sometimes getting a bigger check than, maybe you've made in any other career, you know what I mean? Like I remember a moment where I made more money in a month than I had made in a single year working for my previous job, just kind of the way things went, but haven't done that very often, but that has happened, and so and I compare it somewhat to public speaking. So I'm someone, I almost made this joke at my grandparents' funerals, which would be terrible, but people are more scared of speaking, public speaking than death. So at a funeral, you'd rather be the person in the casket than the one giving the eulogy.
Wow.
But it is,
Yeah.
so obviously wouldn't make that, I can make it here, but sometimes we put that on ourselves and we forget that when you're doing public speaking, more than what the audience knows, right? And as a real estate agent, even though some people will challenge us, at the end of the day, we do know more than what the general public knows about real estate. And you have more information. And if you make sure to study the market and what's going on, you will be that expert and you will become that person. And so doing some of these nurturing relationships, as long as you're coming from contribution and you're genuine in that, you're gonna do it. I had coffee this morning with another real estate agent and a lender on a project, and they hadn't heard it, so I assume, I thought everyone had heard this before, but I was like, you want to be careful not coming across with commission breath.
Right.
And,
Don't see dollar signs over everybody's
yeah,
head.
that's what you're worried about.
Yeah.
Although they exist there, just don't stare at them. I'm a terrible human being. You guys will learn that by the end of the time. So this is more quotes from Shift. Again, Shift is a great, you don't have, if you spend time driving, I know some people driving from Reed Spring, you know, they're from the Bolivar area. You know, Audible's a great tool, and the Shift book on Audible is great as well if you can't read it, although reading is typically more effective, but
I agree.
Gary Keller, you know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action. And first we need clarity around a goal and priorities before we get into action. And to me, this tells me intentional. You said the word being intentional with, I wrote it down, you know, as I kind of going through that is key with as we're building relationships for real estate business purposes, is building those relationships, you know, for that. And outside of the real estate world, I had a text from a friend of mine this week. He was like, hey, do you know the people at XYZ company? And I think you already knew that I did. So, but I was like, yeah, of course I do. And I had kind of a deep relationship with him. He goes, do you mind if I name drop while I'm talking about a payroll software or something? I was like, absolutely. But again, he was intentional. You know, he's been intentional in knowing me and knowing where those opportunities exist that I don't know that my name helps there at all, especially with who that is probably the decision maker on the payroll, you know, side of it. But I do have a relationship with the ownership level of that company. So he was being intentional with his relationship that we already have. And I had no problem doing that with him. He's somebody I talk to about genuine stuff often. So that was fine. If it had been somebody that I didn't know really well, that might not be, you know, might not have been as received as well, but we had a relationship, so he could just be blunt and ask me that.
Right.
So, we've seen this before. Do you guys know what this is a model of?
Oh, I forget what you call it. Basically your database, right?
Yeah. Lead generation and database model. And yesterday we worked on the tools to convert leads. We prospect and market to bring leads and contacts into our database. And we'll talk a little more, which we've done a pretty good job in here about what's the difference between a lead and a contact. So what I'm sorry, I kind of said that backwards.
Well, a
but-
lead would be somebody who is interested at some level in buying or selling. A contact would be just somebody that you know, that could one day be a lead.
Okay.
I don't know that that's the way they're defining it.
Yeah.
It's not, okay?
Oh, a debate, great.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, so yes, I mean, I think to your point, yes. And I think there's more to it. I'll see if you.
So the way I understand the curriculum defining it, which I agree more with yours, Sherry, on a personal, like,
Mhm.
this is what the word means level, but the way I understand Keller Williams, or the curriculum to be defining it, is the lead is the person's name that you've just basically heard of. And there's so far only a one-way relationship. Whereas the contact is the person who has now become the two-way relationship that you're cultivating to become the client.
Yes, that's the direction. So possibly some people might even switch those two terms. It sounds like you may, you know, you guys may, but regardless of how you state that, a lead is somebody that has at some point shown interest. A contact is somebody that you have a two-way conversation with. So it's where you've taken that lead from they've clicked on your Facebook link, entered their information. That's a lead. That's somebody out there that we've never had any communication with necessarily. And then they become a contact when we've had that two-way conversation with them.
Then it's almost like they become a lead again.
Right,
They become a real estate lead.
right, yeah, and that's where it kind of gets you know, that's the point where you start to define them as an A, B, C lead, you know, what I mean, in a way, we're defining them differently at that point.
Right.
So when they're ready, willing, and what's the other, isn't there three?
Able.
Able, yeah. What's that guy?
That's an A.
Money, 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 money.
That's an A.
Is that a contact or a lead?
That's in it. I mean, that would be, and that's where, you know, at that point, if you've gotten to that information, you've taken them from a lead into a contact at that point.
Okay.
And then that's where, you know, a client, yes.
Yeah, a client, yeah.
And even an A-lead client,
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, because at that point, you've moved them from,
they're ready.
yeah, and that's where we're, in this up here, you're preparing contact for conversion. So at that point, you've converted them to a client.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Liliana. That was, I wasn't quite,
You are welcome.
yeah, you should be teaching.
Hey, Liliana,
No. You're doing
Liliana,
great.
Liliana, I'm doing an open house for you this weekend. You need to tell me where it's at and what I need to know about it.
Oh my gosh, sell it. My client is giving 4% to the buyer's agent, so sell it.
All right, we'll get together.
Okay, great,
What?
wonderful.
Four.
I thought she said 12. I'm like.
No, four.
Yeah,
Yeah, they listed it at 15%.
Wow.
I have said that, I've said that for people. I've said that to people, like I typically list it 15% or whatever number it is, but I guess for you, I would do it at 6.
But you know,
Yeah. So what makes the difference between contacts and leads important?
Let's go relationship. See how that word works.
Yep.
the life of the lead.
I like what they say up here, value-based relationship.
Yeah, I do too. It's good.
We have more information about our contacts and allows us to, you know, to create that follow-up that aligns with their needs and interest again. Not just as a lead almost, it's just about us. If you think about that, you know, we've been talking about coming from contribution and we want to, but when they're a lead, it is just about, I need to find out about them and find out how I can help them. Because there's a lot of people out there I can't help.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, I've had leads that, you know, we finally connect and they want to be in Lake of the Ozarks.
Mhm.
I ain't going to Lake of the Ozarks. Nah, I'm out. That is not an area, not an area I serve, so I can't help you with that. So that's, knowing, kind of working through that is important. And we've kind of talked about with the lead, we have just a way of contacting them is really all we have. And it's a one-way conversation.
Okay.
So, and then, remember the third C in our Y4C2Ts. Communication, seek first to understand. If we have that approach with our contacts, then we're committed to staying in contact and emotional proximity with them. And that's just our way of understanding their needs and can communicate with our contacts based on those needs. Again, truly coming from contribution in a lot of ways. If this let's see if I can catch up here. I think I did something backwards. So we all intend to be successful, and as real estate professionals, success is built on relationships. As one top agent said, focus on building relationships and take market share. Because after all, as we have those relationships, that's what the more relationships we have, we can tap into not only them, but also potentially their sphere. And that's what helps us take market share when we've done a better job connecting with them at that level. Yeah. As far as that. So in this, when we're starting with, starting to establish a mindset around follow-up with our contacts. If your database is a garden, then your leads are the seeds, your contacts are plants, and conversion is your harvest. We've kind of made that analogy
That's cool.
before. So what do you think about the expression on the slides? Today's conversion is tomorrow's transaction.
Conversation.
Today's conversation, I said conversion. Didn't I?
I'm kind of concerned about the seeds I'm planting and the people I attract.
Hey,
It's like, I must be hanging around the wrong crowd.
with that is, somebody mentioned it was you, actually, on Austin. Pekarik said, there's a bar that he goes to that frequents more affluent people. And so he attends there, he goes there to attract more of those, he's planting his seeds there to that point. So people do that. It can be in your selection of open houses. Can matter, if we're talking about that, where are you planting those seeds? If you're in doing open houses in $100,000 houses, well, that's who you're going to attract, from that side. Now there's always that law of diminishing returns, where you hold very high-end homes. You may not attract just high-end buyers. You may attract a lot more looky-loos that aren't as engaged in the real estate market. Or I did an open house for, I don't know how many. Is anyone in here familiar with Ozark at all? No? Kind of, okay. So if you drive up Third Street, there are several houses that have been completely remodeled, expanded, and just beautiful. And there's one at the top of the hill that's a red maroon house. And just if you're in Ozark, it's just a house you see. And I knew who originally owned it and redid it, and then his daughter and son own the house, and he is in real estate, does more commercial real estate. So he listed it for himself, but he said, would you hold it open for me? Because that's not my world. And he had kind of his own brokerage. And I was like, sure, I'll do that. I'd love to. So we had a huge open house. But how many real buyers do you think walked through that open house?
Oh, it was a bunch of looky-loos just wanting to see the inside of the house.
A bunch. People, friends of mine from Mount Vernon came.
Always wanted to see inside this house.
Yeah, so again, was that I may not have planted the right seed, to your point, that I wasn't planting in fertile soil. So knowing where that market is for that as you do this can make a huge difference.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, and then how do you make sure that you'll have a harvest large enough to fund your big life?
Well, I think it says sow in the morning and sow in the evening. You don't know which seeds are gonna come up, so just don't do anything but real estate.
Keep sowing.
I don't know.
See you at the top.
So to our conversation yesterday, we were talking about conversion rates and knowing those. Part of it, if you have too many leads,
Service them.
but if you continue to funnel the leads in, maybe, you could also look at it as the more leads you have, you then can be picky with which ones you work with. And so maybe you're only letting the ones that are easy to work with fall through and use. The ones that you don't have to do, so So to your point, continuing to sow, the way you ensure is to continue to lead generate and have as many leads in there as as possible, even though you can't follow up with all, you may not be able to, but that's where if you get to that point and you realize you're really being overrun with leads, that's to answer your question. You didn't quite ask it this way, but that's when you start looking at that you need to hire help.
Or you can
Jeanette?
sell the leads for $1 a piece.
Yeah, or convert them and refer them.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm being silly, go ahead.
Oh, you could turn into Zillow.
Yeah, there you go.
Bradillo.
Yeah, there we go.
On that. This quote from Gary, once you meet your new clients, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, once you've met them, put them in your database and stay in touch with them forever.
Yep.
Anyways, let's kind of repeat some information. In order to be successful at nurturing relationships, we must understand our goals. So as we take a look at this graph and compare it to the wave graph where every person in your database is on the wave of being ready to buy. In this graph, we have the lead generation phase on the left where you gather and store leads rather quickly. In fact, you can generate leads in days or weeks. On the right of the graph, you are busy with the transaction process, which can last from 2 weeks to 2 months. So how long is the lead follow-up phase? Do you recall how many years it is between buying homes on average?
8.
7 to 10 years. So
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Does it make sense how important lead follow-up is, especially since it can take up to 10 years? Who's ready to do that? You know, if I told you I'll give you a lead, but it's gonna take 10 years to close them. Lead follow-up implies lead conversion as well. You're always querying whether the person is ready to meet for a real estate need. And that's the path to lead to conversion and signed listing contract into transactions. And then, of course, leads who express immediate interest in your service are more likely to be ready to convert to an appointment right away. These are, and they call them in this the golden level leads. So, you know, we talked ABC, it could be gold, silver, bronze. You know, there are a lot of ways that you can classify your leads from that. So our goal yesterday was to convert leads to appointments. And we learned that not every lead is able, ready, or willing to meet. When we encounter folks who are not ready to meet for an appointment, we follow up to stay in contact with them until they are ready for that, because a lot of people are going to be out. If you had to guess, how many times have you agreed to be in someone's database when you are not ready to make a purchase? Include all the times you signed up for an email list, text message, discount code you never used, rewards program.
See, that's the thing. Most of the time I'm like, I don't want to be hassled. And that's what I think everybody else feels like. So I very rarely sign up for an email list anymore.
Okay.
Very rarely.
Do you sign up for rewards programs though?
If I know I'm going to be using it regularly.
Okay.
You know what I've found at open houses as well as just business network groups and just all of the different cultivating that I do through networking. I have found it's really simple to get a phone number and start either a phone or a text relationship. And then get the email later sometime as you build and maybe put them on your, give them the opportunity to be on your newsletter or something that's going to, or if you set them up a search tool and for property that they might be looking at, that they want to be abreast of how the market's changing, that's a good time to get their email. But people are afraid of all the spam and they're afraid of all the, you're just gonna bombard me with emails. And I kind of am the same way, so I understand that. It's easy to get a phone number and just, start texting. And you can say on a text, you can even send a video. You can say on text what you can do with email, so it's easier for me.
And it's more personal. And, it is not as efficient, but it is more effective,
I think so.
I don't know, when you say efficient, I think phone numbers versus email would be more efficient.
I think of it, so define efficient, we'll define efficient.
Uh,
Efficient is less work.
Oh, okay, less
So,
work.
yeah, so,
So-
You know what I do with my email? When I open it up, I just start unsubscribing, and deleting and,
yeah.
not to be negative about email.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. That's why, when you look at my email here,
Mhm.
it's showing just under 10,000 emails in each one of those accounts. Unread.
Yeah.
Now, that is not accurate. I don't know, because it'll get above 10. I don't delete them. So I don't know. It's archiving somewhere.
Yeah.
And so now those are my personal email accounts that I've had forever. And one of them was set up, and when I set up, good night. I don't know when Twitter first came out, probably in 2009.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
Probably in that time frame. So I've had, it's my Coach Guy Smiley, which I set up because I was doing a lot of youth coaching at that point, so I set it up for that. And then also set up Twitter, and it was tied to the same one. So it's got some of that information in it. I used it for some things. And then the other one's an email address I've had, I think, since my wife and I've been married. So it's got a lot of our account stuff. Like I use it for, and I don't look at it. We talked about, the only thing, I do have to scan through it sometimes, check it a little daily, just like,
yeah.
did I get anything from this? But I probably should go in and just click select all and mark them all as read.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. And back to what Ann said, Ann, you gotta realize there's a lot of people in the world that wanna hear from you. Like, I wouldn't not open one of your emails. So change your mindset, my friend. You're an interesting person,
And really, the other side we have to think about is, again, going to, when it comes to lead generation, lead follow-up, whether they really read everything that's there. So Grant Baldwin is somebody from Springfield. He was my sister's age.
I recognize that name anyway.
So he has, he wrote a book, and then he did some classes, which I took his clarity class. He did a thing on clarity.
Mhm.
And then he now owns and lives in Nashville, runs the Speaker Lab. So for speakers to build a speaker business, okay? Now, I'm not taking any of that, but his emails, I'm on his email distribution list. And when I'm scanning through stuff, I notice his emails out of all of them because I've had a personal relationship with him.
Okay.
I don't open them all. I don't read all of them, but I know that I've got them.
Good point.
And that's really where we want to be with our messages, because of what that is. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and it's also, I think it ties a little into real estate, because if there is anything that I will, I'll call it a goal of mine, one thing that, we may, a path that I'm taking is towards, being a KWU, instructor. So that may take us, again, so it's intriguing information to me. So I say that, you know what I mean? So if you think about it from someone that's thinking about buying or selling real estate, that could have the same emotional pull, because I don't want to go through his program necessarily.
Right.
But speaking and training is top of mind to me. So it comes out. So that's to me the tie between the two. From that side. I think I covered. Yeah. And then how many times do you think you've received multiple messages for something you've signed up for and then ended up buying something? A few. Or deciding, so I'll pick on me, I registered for, when Whataburger came to Ozark, got their Whataburger app. Now, this is not emailed directly, but it's the same thing. And I went to their ribbon cutting, their grand opening, and found it really neat that their mascot is What a Guy. So I want a What a Guy t-shirt.
Yes. Yes.
Or the What a Guy costume. So you can look up the What a Guy costume. Like it's out there. So, but I will get notifications from them all the time. Whataburger's not, it's just okay. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a diehard, person, but I will get notifications, and then there are times I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go have Whataburger, or whatever it is. Same with Jimmy John's, because it's not a place that I frequent, but I've got their app, and so sometimes I get a notification. I'm like, oh yeah, I could handle doing that. So sometimes those things work, and it's not every time, and it's not going to be immediate, but it's hitting at the right time when it fits a travel pattern of mine. Especially with Jimmy John's is a good example, because if I'm having to go somewhere where I'm going to be past one and I've got one, I'm like, that would work for lunch today. A little better choice. So.
Yeah, hey, there's an email from David Parks. I think I'll just buy a house today.
Yeah, but again, your real estate's those are transactional based, but we are all transactional based. So if I decide I'm gonna buy a house, who am I in the closest proximity to make that happen at that time? And that's what we're dealing with the same thing. It's just a longer timeline.
Yeah.
You're not eating 7 meals a day like I do.
It's kind of the same mindset as you mentioned billboard a few days ago.
Mhm.
It's just name awareness.
Yeah.
You've come up on the email, even if they've never even opened your email, they're like, my wife and I talked last night about maybe it is time to see if we might buy a bigger house. And they've been seeing your name. They're like, hey, I ought to call Brad.
So I'll ask this, since that's a fantastic analogy. So how many, and anyone can answer this, how many billboards do you think you passed between here and your house?
You know what's on them.
That's exactly where it's gonna go. How many can you remember what they?
Probably at least 100, and how many do I remember? Maybe one.
Maybe one.
Maybe one.
So which, do you know which one it is? Not
Yes, Jenny Cully. She's my dear friend that's gonna convert to Keller Williams.
Okay, so she's a real estate agent. So again,
She's
that's
doing really well in the community too.
so that's top of mind for you.
Mm.
So that's how billboards and emails work. Again, it's the same thing as I've been talking about. Things that are top of mind in my email are what get my information. Real estate's top of mind. So 1 out of 100 is the one you see. So there's a lot that you pass, and you may read more than that. I know I look at a lot of them, and I can picture some, and it's funny, the ones I'm thinking of right now, probably because we're talking about it on Highway 65, are real estate agents that have them.
Or insurance.
But Yeah, I know, there is an insurance one, I reckon, I can visualize it now as well. There's also dispensaries and some, you know, and brands and shows, yeah. I have joked that I would, when it got legalized, I would open Hi Guys, and I think I missed it. I was gonna franchise it, put it as the Five Guys, but it didn't work out.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm out of luck. I missed that business.
Excuse me, I gotta make a phone
Yeah,
call.
you're good. You're good. So anyways, but that's the purpose of any of that in our email as well. So.
Yeah.
As we continue talking about identifying goals, and we talk about mind share and how important it is to converting leads to contacts to appointments. So here's some stats that are on the screen. You know, that 74 to 75% of all buyers and sellers speak with just one agent, and only 15% of them even consider more than one agents. Which we've talked
Really
about,
good news.
which is really good news, as long as you're the one that talks to them first.
Right.
Um, And so that's, you know, that real estate defines the, you know, the definition of mind share. And do you remember, well, oh, now we kind of,
That wouldn't include FISBOs and expires.
right, right. Well, but yeah, I mean, obviously I do wonder how that, but I think this is saying that they've talked to one.
Yeah.
So they may have that first time before it expired, yeah, they've only talked to one.
Yeah.
You know, obviously FISBOs they're not choosing to talk to any. I think if they chose, you know,
Bombarded with phone calls.
yeah, most of them, if they decided to talk to an agent, are probably gonna call one.
Call one back, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, or call a friend or.
So when we keep talking about identifying goals, our clients never stop being contacts. We continue to nurture our relationship with them even after the transaction, to remain in emotional proximity to help them share our value proposition. So how many of you have asked a friend who they will go with when looking for a new physician, a new hairstylist, a tailor, or a restaurant?
All the time.
Okay. So this question, sure. Why didn't you just pick the first thing that came up on an online search for what you were looking for?
I want to make sure they're gonna do a good job. So I want a recommendation from somebody who I trust.
Yep, for important purchases, services, goods, it's natural. We always seek those personal recommendations.
Yeah.
And
The bigger the ticket, the more relationship you want.
so why do you think more people don't
You mean
ask for referrals?
real estate agents don't ask for
No. Clients, sellers?
What do you mean they don't ask for referrals?
No, they do, but
referrals? Well, one reason is Google.
why don't they ask for referral? Like a lot of. I can't say that, you know, sometimes it's hard to say if when someone just calls you, if they're referred to you by somebody. But the number of people I have that refer me, the clients I have that were referred to me, is not as high as my sphere of influence and past client ones. So you would think I would have more referrals from past clients. I don't know how, you know, I know you've been in business longer, but so it's amazing how many.
I haven't done the volume you've done though.
Well, but it doesn't really matter, you know, like even when we look at it, you know, when you start to think about even the ability as a newer agent to get a client.
Maybe they don't live in the area and they don't know who to ask. for
But-
referral.
But I'm even talking about people local. I'm talking,
Oh.
I'm talking about people in your sphere.
Don't ask.
And, you know, you think about it, we have open houses because people come to open houses and meet new agents, right?
Right.
Right.
And so even though all these other things, we ask for recommendations, sometimes with real estate, we're not when I say we, not us as agents, but we as in the general population, they may either be like, oh, I'm, you know, they may know you, so they call you. They may have heard of you, they may do a Google search and look for you. But, and I just wonder if sometimes it's people don't really talk about that they're gonna sell their house with their friends as much, you know what I mean, like it's interesting, you know, I don't know, I don't know that answer. It was just kind of as I'm kind of going through this, just something I'm processing, and I may be off base, but when I look at my business, I don't get as many referrals as you would expect. But I get lots of past clients, so my past clients like me. But people aren't asking them necessarily for referrals, so.
And they aren't necessarily
just
being
giving-
intentional and giving you as a referral,
Right,
even though they'll use you 4, 5, 6 times. You've never gotten a referral from them.
right,
I have those clients.
yeah,
That's a good.
yeah. Yeah, it's just I don't know the why. I don't know, is it because sometimes when you're making a decision to move, it's a private, you know, I mean, is it?
Are we asking for referrals enough? Do you-
I am not. I mean, I'll put that on my shoulders. That's an opportunity in my business, so.
I think it's an opportunity in mine too, because you kind of made me think about that a little bit.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was going
Maybe I'm
with
not
this.
being enough intentional.
Yes, I think it's an opportunity, and that's where I was going with it,
We get
whether.
too passive with the prior
Yeah,
client.
we just expect you know, like, love, and trust me. Of course you
Well,
should
and they
be.
do, because they call whenever they're ready to do something
I
themselves,
ask-
but they just
I
don't
ask
send you anything.
Everyone I know for referrals.
Yeah,
I live on referrals.
yeah. Well, and
Send the force. Send
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
send the-
And
Well,
really,
it's not
it's,
that hard.
No,
I
I
just
know.
say,
I know.
like, I have
I
sent
try to.
texts out, like maybe 10 a day to people I know and being like, hey, I'm just working on my business here and I am, you know, just kind of getting my feet into this and I would like to know if you would send me any referrals if you hear of someone looking for a house or needing to sell. And they're always like, well, some don't answer, but most of them are like, we would love to recommend you because they know me and they know my work ethic.
Sure,
They
sure.
know my heart. They know that I don't just do things halfway. I'm all in or nothing.
right.
And so most of them say yes. And I think that's great that
Yeah.
they say yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree with you, and I think most of our client, you know, past clients, they would. It's not, and people that are close to us, they would, but it is an opportunity, and we ask for them,
Yeah,
but we're, you know, it is like I said, it's a portion of our business, but I'm actually better. I've got more referral partners,
yeah.
like the estate attorney that I got business from, you know what I mean? Like I'm better at those referrals than, which really in a perfect world, I would love to have just a core group of great referral agents that could send me 5 referrals a year, you know, that are people that have to transact.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
I actually am getting referrals through Command because I took this online taught by Keller people on Command referrals. And so all of us that were like online went and requested each other.
Yeah.
So we're all in there together. And I got one the other day and he's an investor looking for $1 million home.
yeah,
And I am like, well, so far there's nothing where you're looking for $1 million. Like, I don't you know, and what I
Have
said
them
to
raise that to 1.49. I'm gonna drop the price of my house in Rogersville this week, so. you know.
okay, I'll tell him.
There you go.
Actually, I sent that house to him, I
That's funny.
think.
Where was that online school?
It came
ongoing
to
or
us in our email and it was a live thing. And there was like 2 weeks of stuff you could sign up for.
Yeah.
So it was like different agents around the state.
Is it gone now?
Well, I
Or is
haven't
it
seen
online?
another one. They may have recorded it. And I think I kept the link so I could go back and ask if they recorded it and it's available. But it's been a few weeks back
It's
now.
basically networking with other agents in other geographical locations, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, like when
Okay.
they have, like I got this referral came from Kansas City.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, she called me and she's like, I love working with other Keller agents because they get it. And she's like, I want you to keep me in the loop on this one because this guy is a return customer, a repeat customer for me, but he's an investor. And this is what he's looking for.
Awesome.
And I'm like, okay, but he wants on the lake and he wants, you know, I mean, he wants a lake view or lakefront.
$1 million isn't that much when that's the criteria.
Yeah, well, he's willing to like take a fixer because he's a construction person, so.
We'll find something this spring for him, I would think.
Well, I would think so. So we're working on it right now.
Is it just Table Rock? you say
Table
Lake?
Rock or Stockton.
Oh.
And I really don't like going to Branson, but that's kind of a big deal, so I'll go down there for that.
May I say something?
Yeah.
Think it might be.
Well, I've been in business for 5 years and you know, I have good clients, but lately all the business, and you know, I was sick last year. I did not work, but I had a closing every single month when I was last year. I had people clients coming to get me in the car to show them homes because I couldn't drive. But lately, the referrals that I'm getting is from vendors, like my Edward Jones guy. He has sent me 2 people. A plumber that I hire here in the house, he sent me 1 person. So the vendors, it is a good, you know, anything, church, gym, people that you have always, you talk to every day, they are great source of referrals.
Yep.
Hey Sherry, I live down there,
Oh, you do?
Branson area, so if you
Awesome.
need help showing anything down there, you
Okay.
can't get down there on a given day or
We need
whatever.
to like have each other's information then.
Yeah, you holler at me.
So I mean, like, if I passed him off, she would not be happy with me and she
No,
wouldn't
I'm not
refer to
asking for
me.
that, I'm just saying
But-
if I can help in any way.
Right, right.
I'm down
Because
there.
sometimes I might not be able to get there,
Exactly.
but he's from up there too. So it's basically about getting him down here
Sure.
to look at a few things. And that's what we're working on right now. I'm looking for that training. It was here it is, KWU. It's called, I guess it's Keller Williams University.
Uh-huh.
And it's tech training team. And the email was learncommand@kw.com. So,
There's so many courses on there, aren't there? that are
right, and this
happening, like-
came from CJ Johnson. And Keller Williams Realty International, KWU Tech Training Team. And so there was like 2 weeks full of like live things that I could do.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, Scott Leroy also has, but it was nice because all of us were in this thing, so then we could like go around and request each other. My referral database is big now because
Because of that class.
of that class.
Yeah.
And I was online and I just, you know, it was the first 2 weeks of January is when those classes were. CJ Johnson and his email, learncommand@kw.com. His phone number is 512-306-6709.
Yeah, they'll probably offer some of that, you know, those classes will be available online.
And then this was like full of additional resources, social media campaigns, connect your applications in Command, get set up for success before running a Facebook ad, get started with paid ads in Command, and additional on-demand training videos and on Connect. Connect was how we got referrals. Connect was our referral. And then I like tried to send out referrals to like a bunch of people that I knew here, just in case like they have something show up in Bolivar and they are like in Springfield or Republic and they don't want to go up there, they could call me. So, but some of them don't look at that and they don't even know they have that in their commands. So my requests are just kind of sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great tool, actually. And what's great when you send a referral out like that, they accept it. I've got a client actually, looking at property in Pensacola today. So, with someone I referred an agent to and now this is an agent, he's a Keller Williams agent, but he was referred to me by my lender who they had an office down there as well and knew this agent. So that's how I connected, because I personally looked at houses in Gulf Breeze with him. So, but it was, then I used that because my client has a house here, he'd like sell, but they'd like to relocate there. And he thought I could represent him down there. And I'm like, I really can't. I don't know what they got going on. So anyways. So we already know how important lead follow-up is. And we've talked about the 19 to connect and the 1 to submit plans with leads from sessions 10 and 11. Now we'll talk more about how you can use the 36 to convert plan to stay in contact long-term and gain the benefit of clients and referrals in your database. So it's important to remember that, we've already created the foundation for the 36 to convert when we designed the 19 to connect plan. So your 36 to convert plan is a comprehensive plan with different layers of input. It contains phone calls, newsletters, events, market updates, home valuations, and other value-based products. And the trick is to find what people are in your market. I'm reading. Your trick is to find what people are in your market value and to design your touches to match with, I don't know what I was trying to say there. So you want to.
What the people who are in your market, what they
Yes.
value.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm like,
The
where
way
was
they
I
worded
going?
that was bad.
Yeah, the way.
Connecting words in there.
Yeah, so to match the value that, match what they value. So, so how will you know what your clients value?
Great question.
It is a question.
You have to ask them, I guess.
So the different message, the response rate you get with different message content, it changes, whether that's email, text message, phone calls. So the four telephone phone calls are really about deepening the relationships and gathering that information. Those are the 4 pillars really to your 36, touch campaign, is getting them on the phone. And as much as, that requires the most effort. So in our kind of our talk, it's the least efficient because it's going to take the most time per person. You can only talk to one person on the phone at a time. But as you're doing that, you're going to generate, your results are going to be better. It's going to be the most effective way to communicate with somebody, phone and getting face to face with them. And if you look at look at this, the overlap in the touches between the 19 to connect and the 36 touch campaign, the 4 calls and the 19 to connect can be the same quarterly calls that you're using in your 36 to convert. So you're not changing a whole lot except for maybe the number of time, except for the times that you're touching them. And if you already have someone on a smart plan, to getting the two promotional direct mail touches, you're just adding 2 more to the existing plan. So just some of those small changes that you're looking at. But this is, about creating those opportunities as we look at the four quarterly phone calls. The 26 bi-weekly, so it's every 2 weeks as opposed to once a month. So you've got an email offering some type of information and value to the consumer. So if one of those is, one per month is your newsletter, and then you could be providing a specific market update as the other 2 weeks. So again, kind of creating that communication. And then you've got two events where you're bringing get-togethers, parties, however you want to say that, bringing people together as opposed to one. We've talked about the 6 connection questions. Who are they? What do they need? They're not on the screen. So where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want or need to do it? And how do they plan to do it? Our messages for the 36 touches should do these things to build connection to the contact and getting to know their needs, wants, and elicit a response from the contact that puts you in dialogue with them as quickly as possible. And we call messages that do that MOFR, or make offer for immediate response. It's also you guys may have talked about that already. I don't know, but anyways, that's just, we always want something on information to get that it can be a designed, a direct offer. It can be designed to get a response from somebody who's ready to buy or sell. It's not directly, it doesn't have to be direct. It could be indirect, and is not directly about buying or selling, but does help build that relationship. So, could be as easy as call now to schedule coffee, to meet me for coffee.
Shoot me a quick email if you'd like me to add you to my newsletter list.
Could be. Yeah, that'd be a good one to do. What are some examples of indirect? So that's one. What other ones can you guys think of?
Well, automated text, if you are just providing information because maybe you don't have a newsletter,
Yeah.
or maybe you don't want to do a newsletter. I think
So-
anything automated fits that description.
Well, but how about MOFRs specifically? So
They're gonna-
sign up for newsletter.
Yeah. Sign up
That's-
for market analysis, monthly market analysis.
And maybe I'm gonna take you a little more specific there. What if you, instead of making it a monthly, and just. I'm gonna spell that, whatever.
I know what you meant.
It's
good.
That's all good. That sounds like a doctor's visit. So,
We are.
so here's so to dive into that, because that really even sign up for the newsletter, because that is a MOFR, but maybe not to somebody on a 36 touch campaign, because they're already in our database and we're
Right.
already communicating with them.
Right.
So although I agreed with you, and so this could be market CMA. So it could be, especially, you could do this 2 different ways. I'll talk about them both since we've got a diverse group. You're a new agent, you could be like, hey, I'm a new agent and I'm working to improve my skills, and I'm wanting to come out and do some free market analysis on your house, just so I can be better at what I'm doing, okay?
Hmm.
Improve my skill set. Now, how many of us have friends and family members that would let us do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a great way, that's a good mofer. Now,
That's good.
been in the business longer, done, had whatever it is, so it may be, working, the market's changing. And I want you to, for you to understand how it changes, getting a CMA today, understanding the value of your home today so that you can watch how that changes is important. Who would like to, let's set up a time and I'll provide you a market analysis. That's again, taking that to that next level,
Right.
Where you're like, okay, we're gonna do this. I have always had in my mind that I really would love to do for all my past clients, a quarterly CMA for them. To watch how their value changes. And as soon as you can get with them, create that base value, now you can determine a lot of that. So anyways,
You might even give them insight that will change their trading habits or their buying habits.
absolutely. So how could it change? You offer to do a free CMA and somebody that hasn't really paid attention to real estate. And you, so I've had a friend, now he's very educated, but I had a friend that always told me, he's like, give me $400,000 for my house, you can sell it. Okay,
Yeah.
so 2 years ago, I could get him $400,000 for his house. You bet we had a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now that was specific, so I had a goal. But what if he hadn't shared that information with me? They've owned the house since '03. And I come in and their kid just graduated last year and, which is a great time to have a conversation, empty nester. And I sit down and I'm like, your house is worth $425,000. And they bought it for 130.
What?
And there's,
Say those numbers again, they bought it for 130 and what?
And it's worth 425.
425. Let's just say that number, I mean, yeah.
I thought that was real.
Well, it really is. I mean,
It really
it's
is.
close to realistic. They bought it in the early 2000s. It's a 3,600 square foot house in Ozark.
Okay.
It's.
Yeah, it's big enough. It's big enough.
Yeah,
Yep, yep.
it's surely worth that. So but all of a sudden you give them that analysis, you tell them what it's worth, and then they sit there and they're just kind of talking around and they're like, well, honey, they're having dinner and they're like, honey, we're 55, we're kind of thinking about, getting closer to retirement. Well, now we put that into the mix, that's, we only owe 50,000 on the house or whatever they owe. You know what I mean? Like, they're like,
What a scenario.
oh, but those happen all the time.
It does.
It happens all-
I
I mean, we
actually,
bought our house 7 years ago for 125,000. We put 30 into it to remodel it completely.
yeah,
You should see this place.
Yeah.
And we've done stuff since then too,
Yeah.
but we could sell it for 300 right now.
oh, yeah.
It's always a good idea not to list your own house. I'll be
Yeah, I'm not
happy.
gonna, I don't want to sell my house. It's 1,800 square feet. I don't want to clean more than that. I live in a very modest home. It's not a big fancy,
Yeah, we have, so our first house in Ozark, I bought it in 2011. 1,400, it was brand new, 1,400 square feet upstairs, 1,400 square foot unfinished basement, and I paid $99,900 for it in 2011.
Mhm.
And so that's a real one that today, just from then, that house, it pushes 300, probably, I mean, we obviously sold it. So those opportunities exist and you could be sitting there and a lot of things happen once they see the equity that's there. There are so many people that don't know the equity they're sitting on. I helped a young couple buy their first house in, I think it was 2020. I need to look at it. I mean, I could. They called me last year. He got a job offer in Kansas City. They were moving. And I think they walked away at closing with like $60,000. And when I say a young couple, she was in her last semester at C of O. So, you know, they were just getting done with college, they bought their first house, and then now all of a sudden they did nothing to the house, absolutely nothing. And part of that was the perfect time to buy. But I've thought of them often that they took a risky step that a lot aren't taking. And now all of a sudden at that young age are set up in a different world than most are at that age. And they went on, they probably put it all into the house there, I think they bought a house in Kansas City. So there are other pieces to that as well. So
Yeah, they're growing and they grew and they're now living next door to Donald Trump.
they might be. Might be. Maybe they bought Patrick Mahomes' house.
Anyway, go ahead.
So any other mofers you can think of?
Well, so what's an example of a direct one then?
This is an awesome house that just came on the market. If you're looking for a home in this neighborhood, call me right away.
Oh, like the one right there. Okay.
Yeah, like just not to read one that's specific that's right there, but it could be, and I guess really, those are the CMA as I start to think about it, the CMA, I may have been leaning more direct
Right.
to real estate, but that, still maybe not. If I'm just doing a CMA, there are, you're not looking at a house and trying to make a decision. So that's not really direct.
So I think newsletters and CMAs, I think if one was to send a newsletter out, say, hey, guy, haven't talked to you in a while, blah, blah, blah. Here's a newsletter I'm putting out. And if you'd like to continue this, I'd love to have your email or whatever. Let me know that you want it. CMA, same thing, just send them an introductory CMA and ask if they want to continue it quarterly or whatever.
Yeah.
But versus just start to shove it at them, kind of get their interaction, talk with them about it. See where they're at. It'd be a way to open the question up, where are you at? You even care about what your house is worth.
Well, and a perfect way to kind of to do this, like if you're to do a quarterly, because there may be some people that don't want a CMA, but what if I emailed you and said, hey, Brad, just did an online, did a quick CMA on your house. It's worth, $250,000 to $270,000, depending on that's without seeing it. I'll keep you updated in a similar manner, quarterly. If you'd like to be more exact with it, let me know when we can meet. That way you're doing some of that. When we talk about quarterly calls directly to this, if I'm calling you and all of a sudden, let's say something changes and then, at this point, I call you and be like, hey, Brad, how's the family doing? Everything going great? Hey, I wanted to share something with you. I've been sending you your CMA and last one, it was 250 to 270. With changes in the market, your neighborhood is highly desirable. And I actually saw the most recent one in your neighborhood was listed for 300,000 and went under contract in the first day. So if you're thinking about buying or selling, this could be an exciting time in your neighborhood.
Are you sure, guy? I realize I live in a trailer park, right? Guy.
Absolutely. That may have been from the whole thing. But no, but still just whatever the numbers are, that would be specific. But
That's cool.
That
I
would
like
be
that.
very good. Very good.
And then you guys that are starting to get into command and the smart plans and all that, review what they say, because I realized that I was sending out something from a realtor named Roxanne in my, I don't know her name, but you gotta read what you're sending out, you
Yeah.
know? You gotta read it, cause I don't know where it came from. I mean, I don't know, but make sure you check the plan out, see what it's saying.
Yeah.
That is good. That is good. That goes back to my day one when I sent all the cards out with the wrong person's name on it. It happens. It happens.
It happens.
So you, in the books, you can turn to your develop the 36 touch page in the participant guide. We're gonna take 10 minutes for you to work alone or with a partner and write down what your 36 touch plan will look like. So, and just some things for ideas, you know, just I'll give you guys a couple of brain things that we've talked about, done, or could do. It could be lunch and learns. You know, you could maybe, you know, for your events, you could offer some lunch and learns. First time home buyer seminars, those are pretty specific as you're getting into it. Looking at ways to do like seeing fireworks on the 4th of July, doing some drop by different things. It could be something that's personalized to you. Maybe on your birthday, you want to take all of your past clients some cookies. Talk about being memorable, and events that are something that's meaningful to you. I know people that have gotten of like the Hispanic heritage, you know, have really jumped behind the Hispanic Heritage Month and doing events around that. It could be something, you know, like Nixa has Sucker Days, you know, getting involved in that. Joining in with other events that are important in your community. One that I've always wanted, that I've not figured out how I'm gonna do it, but I just need to pull the trigger. And based on last night, watched my son play basketball. The football coach has been recruiting him. My son played football every year till this year. It's a new football coach, and he pulled my son out of weights and he said, "I just need you to catch the ball." It's like, I don't care if you tackle anybody. I don't need you to tackle anybody. I just want you to come catch the ball. So, and he told me the same thing last night when I saw him, a great guy. But, so for me, again, what's important to me? School district sports, shared that. So what if I did Friday night tailgates during football season?
That's great.
That would fit me, may not be your world, but
Yeah, but it would attract the people that you relate to.
absolutely. We're very involved, not that I think softball is your world, but what if you decided to host a benefit tournament in Reed Springs to bring teams to play? I don't know. So just some ideas, you guys work on that either by yourselves in groups. We'll give a couple of minutes and just jot some ideas so we don't take forever, but.
Great. Hey, groupie.
Well, I jotted down a few things, you know, because he said first time home buyer seminar. My problem is, where am I gonna do
I don't have anybody's birthday.
Are you serious?
that?
Places all over the place.
Where-
Well, in Bolivar,
Places where I have like a big screen that I can put something up on.
well, I hate to bring it up,
Trying to
but
find.
Boone's did provide the screen.
They
Yeah, it
do,
is. I
just
bet it is.
remember that.
Right.
And
I mean,
then,
well, everything,
what hotels are in there?
That Best Western is there.
Yes.
That's a
They might
nice
provide a
one.
conference room. Cause I've done for other businesses, I've done seminars at Best Westerns. Not in Bolivar, but it was in Sedalia. And they had a nice big room. So that's something.
36 touches.
But yeah. Yeah, all
And
that
then-
stuff.
Well, and then like, I have people, I'm very crafty. I do a lot of paper craft, scrapbooking, that kind of stuff. Who've asked me to do something, and I could do something like that at church once a
And I'm
month.
guessing you do less
You know,
lead
and just
generation.
invite anyone who wanted to come. I could do that at my church.
should they talk about?
Well, you just said your two questions. Doesn't your church have a big screen?
I can't sell anything.
Who does that?
It's,
We're
that's
not selling
tacky.
anything, are we?
I mean, they held it. at
Is it?
the location.
Okay.
But I don't
here's-
want, here's my thing, I don't wanna misuse,
agree.
God's church for
Oh,
my
yeah,
personal.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
Jesus
I
is coming
said-
and start throwing the
I
tables
could-
over.
Then also I thought, okay, well, I organized a big benefit
And
from,
that's when you start hiring.
for,
people.
Yeah.
helping
Um,
missionaries in Russia
Developing a team,
teach.
I would have-
Yeah.
English as a second language, but they also were spreading the gospel. And then in our town, we
This is
just
my
had
priority,
a
getting
lady
through this
come and
class.
speak about community outreach. in
Exactly.
schools who gives
Yeah, and I
food
couldn't
to,
make any telephone calls while
people
I'm
who
driving.
need
I
food.
did try that
they're
one.
a food
Well, then
bank,
you have to,
and
I mean,
then they
I have to
sell,
write
like,
things down.
Exactly.
so you can donate to them,
So-
gently use furniture, clothing, that kind of stuff they
Um,
sell.
But
I'm
right
like,
now, we're
what
just
if we did a
brainstorming.
benefit
So
comp, a
that being the
benefit
case,
Scrapbooking.
I've already
or
sent a
craft
magnet out to
day
several people in my neighborhood. I'm
For
gonna keep that.
those people and I sponsor.
The
it.
magnet, did you,
What does that mean, sponsor?
you got
It
magnets?
just means that, you know,
What did you-
I set it up, I can put a business card and
Same
everything.
design. but-
Yeah, just
So you put
totally
money to
the
set it
same
up.
design.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go
Except
back, let's go
My
back.
church would let me do that.
Let's go back to the
But for my
church.
neighborhood, I think it's worth it.
There's something I find very interesting about church buildings. They sit empty all
I
the
think that would might even.
Are you
cost
gonna
more
canvass
because
your
the
neighborhood?
ours is-
What's
what's
that?
that?
Are you gonna
Really?
canvass
We
your
have to get on.
neighborhood?
I am, right now I'm
Big
sending out
big
mailers.
I may have to
Right
find it
now
because
I'm
I'm,
sending out
I need a
mailers
church,
because
but anyway,
I'm
that's
very
beside the
rural,
point.
so.
I might.
You know,
What is
our
it?
church
Door to door
first
knocking
Baptist
means you're having to
dollar.
drive from.
Just
Humboldt
Oh, yeah, I
to
know
the
what's
other
there, yeah.
neighborhood,
Yeah,
or
so
their
like,
driveway is-
we did a big church, our church.
But
owned
eventually,
the Esquire
I
movie
might do 2 or 3 houses at,
So
you know, at a time.
that's
that way.
fun there. I mean, we do a
Um,
lot
but
of
I'm
stuff
not gonna
like
do
that.
20.
I'm
Yeah.
part of the
So,
women's
but I'm
ministry.
just doing
so-
it.
I'm
Trying to get
surprised.
some of
I'm
that
so
free mail,
surprised.
anticipated free mail, so.
So, you know, we
So a
use
magnet
it
would be
all
one
the
thing to
time
send.
for like, you know,
Um,
simulcast, or we do,
I feel like another cool
you know,
thing to send
ladies
would
last
be
night.
all the
we'll put
places
in a
to
shot
watch
of Pierce
fireworks.
and have we have popcorn
mail it
machine
out to
and
a bunch of
soda
different
machine
people.
there. So we do
Oh, yeah.
popcorn and sodas and laugh
Yeah,
night, you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
just a way in the
You
winter.
can do that
to get
with
out
all the
the
seasons.
house.
Yeah, I need it so bad.
Right.
I need it
It's
bad.
miserable when the sun
Christmas
doesn't
light
shine.
displays.
Yeah, I know. I
Right?
know.
Oh, that's good too, especially down by me.
And that could, and some of that actually could be done electronically, not just a mail out.
So
Well, I'm
busy
looking
that
at
I
the
don't have
promotional direct mail items of value.
what
Okay.
I wanna
they
do,
talking
because
about
I'm
actual
retired and I get a paycheck every
items?
month. So.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
not
just
as, so it
when I
could be,
started this,
it
my
could be
goal was
just
to get
a
my insurance and
mailed
work
piece
my-
to them. So it could be just a card.
Right.
So Barb.
Like that's what I do for
don't
my
have closing in
Thanksgiving
4
Day
months,
card.
though.
Oh, that's good. I like that,
I
yes.
don't have anything to spend money
So-
on.
That just goes to everybody.
Yeah, you could do a, I think last
So-
time I
Don't you
got
care about the
magnets, which I
homeless
still
people?
have some,
I give all
They
the
were
time. I
a
give.
dollar a piece or
I know.
something,
Like,
you
I
know,
read-
I mean, by the time we got them done.
I need something to
Um,
keep me busy.
you
This is
could
what I need.
do,
It's fun for me because I love looking at houses and I love.
If you're
people.
wanting to send something, you could do
So let's get together and
a baking measurement guide.
let's make an
Oh,
activity,
yeah.
an event. I
Like
love
magnets.
events.
I do
could be
too,
pretty
and I
good that they
love
could
this
put up in
idea of
there-
doing this
in there.
benefit for calm.
There are also,
They are
Who?
calm,
you
community
know,
outreach
again, depending on how
ministries.
big your list
they're
is,
the
how many
ones
you want,
that
how many
just
people you
Because you
want to
sent that to
send.
me on,
It could be
Yes.
baked goods
And
being
it's
sent, you know, I mean, there are
local,
places
and
that you
I
could have
love
things
local.
delivered.
yeah, me too.
A local
to them,
place,
how-
and this gal came and spoke. and she
I've
was
seen
so nervous.
Easter baskets done,
Last
you
night,
know,
you
you
did
could
such a
do
good job, and
flowers
we-
for the
I've gone there
mothers on Mother's
personally,
Day, you
and
know,
been a
the, you
personal
know, something
shopper.
different.
The people when they come in, I just walk with them
So
and.
just-
All of that
say,
starts to
"Hey,
get
look,
pricey.
you know,
Oh, it does. I mean,
what
that's the
does
deal.
this
That's
say
why
about this?
part of it depends on,
You
again,
know,
how
and I
many,
just
like when some of
let
that's
you
the stuff
know,
as
and
you
at the end, I
first
put-
start,
so
you
it's
may
a
be, you may be
big
spending more money
thing. I've done that
per
in the
person,
past. Now I'm retired.
but it's
and
not
You have more time, you should be able to go do.
a
that.
huge database, so it's
But I've
not
been
as
kinda
much.
selfish with my
And
time
then there's a
since
point
I
where you have to
retired.
start becoming less
Okay.
efficient, you know,
I
less,
mean,
So
like,
let's,
I feel
less
like
efficient.
I
Like,
should,
I don't
like,
send a lot of stuff
cannot
like that. These are just ideas and
be
things that I've seen
committed to
other
every
people do.
single thing.
Right.
so what,
Um,
okay, what's that got to do with real estate?
And just
though?
like I
mean,
know somebody that
Exactly.
I mean,
does
It
cookies
doesn't, it doesn't.
and hand
Yeah,
delivers
Because
them.
if I have too many clients, I can refer.
Now,
Hey,
You
you'll be
know,
making no cookies.
and
Not
she,
happening.
she didn't make them either,
haven't had
Oh,
that.
She
okay.
had them made, but
Okay.
again, just the time
Oh, I was
of
doing
going, and she tried to
five
set it
at
up
the
to
same
make sure they
time.
were always there, and I'm like, boy, I just.
Yeah, by
I couldn't
yourself.
do
I'm
that.
going on
One thing I thought of
vacation
yesterday, although I have
in
no- I haven't done
Israel, so
pricing
I'm
on
not
this,
Really
but
able
again,
to
just
talk
for
to
my
you about
neighbors.
this right
What
now.
does
husband.
people on my road.
She does.
Okay.
She does. I mean,
Before the
it's
first
just that
cold
that
weather,
girl is
get a
busy.
bag
Oh,
of
yeah.
rock salt.
She works
And
from
like,
like 7 to
Yeah.
9
Staple
till
my card
7
to
or
it and drop it at the
8 at
door.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
they
always
don't get
something
there until
useful,
9 or
you know,
10.
maybe it's, what if it was earplugs
It's like I got all the time in the world to work.
for the 4th of July?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's a.
I have
it's a-
thought about sending
we love her,
earplugs
we
to,
love
for
her,
sale by
but
owners.
It's just a
Um,
hard.
Stop listening, it says stop
Well,
listening, all the agents, if you need one, call me.
What is today?
You know, again, just having fun with it.
Let's
the-
get together and make an event for April.
There's a thought I had there and it just.
15th, why not?
got-
Tax Day, well, April 15th, did you look at the calendar? What
No, I
date
just
is
pulled it
that?
out of the air.
All right, let's see.
about as an
April
event?
15th is a Monday.
All right,
I would say a Friday
Get
night,
together.
Saturday
pick one out.
would be better.
A group of
What do
people.
I have? Why do I have that there?
And you go around to open houses on a
Creative
given
Key,
day.
that's
You just
something
have a
else.
caravan.
Let's do.
That could be pretty neat if you had the
the
people that
20th.
wanted to do it.
Okay.
To that point, I know
Let's do
somebody
the
that
19th,
said.
20th.
What is that, Saturday,
did
Sunday?
It's a Friday,
a
Saturday.
Investor van
19th and 20th of
and
April.
got
And then I
multiple
can
investors and
find
went and
out.
drove around the property.
Or what kind of
Um,
event I'm thinking?
What,
Because I like this
um,
benefit.
What you were
idea.
talking about.
so in
What you were
your,
talking about.
where you're at, do you
Okay,
deal
so-
with lake traffic?
But are you like into that?
Where I'm
How
at
are you gonna-
specifically,
How are we gonna do this? trip?
actually,
Are you
there's not a
willing
whole lot
I'll
of
support
traffic
you,
on my
and
side of
I'll
the
get
lake.
into it.
It's really, it's great. We put in a Cape Fair, very,
You know, I mean,
Very
it's
little
an event, it's
So
people.
what if somewhere close, then I guess it wouldn't be your neighbors necessarily, but what if
It'll be
you
women that
worked
come.
with,
Lunch for the women that come and.
if
I
you're
have a
close to Cape
huge
Fair,
database of people that I can
work
get,
with somebody there to
do this.
have an event that
Um,
said,
And then we could do.
the weekend after Labor Day, you know, like, thank you, all the non-professionals are gone. Like
Goodbye, tourists.
a locals only, instead of members only, locals only.
Love it.
Yeah, something that, you know, something that would be, you know, that'd be kind of a spin on to get the people that are there.
Love it.
And for you,
I could use.
like
the
if you
entire
watch,
parcel of my-
lake property,
It's big.
it increases, the number of properties listed in the lake
And,
increases near the end of the season and after Labor Day.
It's like
Cause people are done using it.
spend time
You know, it's just
just
like that's when you can find boats for sale. you know, because they're- in the summer, they're using their lake house, they're using their-
We'll put it on the market. One more summer and then we'll put it on the market. Yeah.
Yep, and then some will get it on the market now because they're like, I don't wanna open it back up.
In your
Right.
goodie bag. So
Right.
we're gonna have to make. a
Okay.
goodie bag.
Love it.
Yeah,
Thank
just a
you.
quick one.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be about Keller Williams or anything. It needs
It
to be more
doesn't.
about the COM.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
any questions on the 36
This is
touch
good.
kind of campaign?
April 19th and 20th, and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
I'll reach out to you here soon.
wow, I can't believe we're gonna do this.
We will.
This is something people's been asking me for years.
Cool.
And I'm like, I'm not doing it.
All right. I think Guy wants us back.
Oh, he does.
I mean-
Now, the 4 calls, they're, one tool that they've given us to do that is the DTD2.
Yep,
But what that means is it may or may not be a specific message that you have because the letter just came up and, oh, they're on my list to call. But it's not their birthday or,
right. I mean, I would say if you've got somebody's birthday, that may be a 5th call.
okay. But when you're, do you use DTD2?
I do, I'm not real good at using it, but
When you use it, are you just calling to make general conversation?
Yes.
yep, I'm just connecting with them. I
Right.
mean, that's the, you know, building that relationship. You know, that's what
Okay.
it, you know, what it is, you know, and for the most part, I'm focusing on people. Like I would love to kind of be at this level. I'm not one of the top agents, you know, but just I've continued to refine it and look at that every year. That obviously I don't try and talk to every person in my database 4 times a year. Because I have, you know, the size of it, you know, that's not, you know, so it's all about looking at the most strategic partners and, you know, top people that I need to make sure that I'm talking to.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
So always refining that, that and, cause at this point, and it's where it gets hard, cause you take. So I was trying to, I really should have the exact number. I should, but I don't, but you're talking, it's over 300 people I've helped since I started. In the last 7 years. So even just that, 300 a quarter, and so if we just, and that's 300 families. So that's, could be 600 people, cause
Oh, sure,
really,
if you did
cause
the.
really you wanna talk to husband and wife in a perfect world, but so that becomes, but even at that, 300 is a big number. I don't know what.
Those are just your past clients. That's not all the rest of the people that you're cultivating.
Right. So that's 23 a week.
And if you were having to choose between past clients and those that are new to your list that you haven't actually done a transaction with,
I would work with my past clients all day long.
you would call and keep that going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that, and that's a hard thing. Now I'm gonna give you a caveat. If it's, hey, guy, you need to call these 20 people this week, or hey, your phone's ringing over here, somebody that you don't know, but they want to transact real estate.
Right,
Going over here.
right.
So
Okay, that makes sense.
being transparent and real with that.
All about priority, yeah.
Yeah. So if you have 200 people in your database and you put them all in a 36 touch campaign, how many touches is that per year?
200 times 36.
Yep.
Get to my calculator.
620 probably, maybe 720, somewhere in there.
That's a lot of people.
I don't know.
A lot of touches.
200 times 36.
You had close math, but you're missing
A
You
zero
missing a
wasn't
zero.
Yeah.
7,200, baby.
So hire assistant.
See, do I really want to do this?
Well,
Yes,
like,
you
that's a
do.
lot of people to
A lot of
talk to,
touches.
and like, I don't wanna do that many.
Well, yeah.
So, but here's, stick with us on this for a minute. So, that might feel exciting for some, overwhelming is kind of where it is. But we need to think with the big why or big why, just think big, really. And in Gary Keller and Jay Papasan and the One Thing, share that that the way to get there is to break down our someday goal into smaller and smaller goals until we get a daily goal, a right now goal. They call this goal setting to the now. And when you look at your 46 or 36 touch campaign, we are already starting at the 1 year goal. We intend to touch every contact in our database 36 times in the next year. To stay motivated and keep up with your touches, remember that every touch is getting you closer to your someday goal. Feed your big why. Those 7,200 touches are how you get your someday goal. So,
But also to remember, it's not 7,200 individual things I have to do.
That's where I
The
was going.
newsletter is going to my entire group at once,
Correct.
yes.
or
So-
whatever else.
In some ways, when you look at it, you got 26 of the 36 touches are bi-weekly emails. So those could be really just, when you look at it, 26 things you do that are getting you 26 times 200 of the touches
Sure.
annually. So at 5,200 of the touches.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. If your 4 phone calls are gonna be the biggest majority, that's 800 touches, okay? And when you do I just kind of did the math. You do 200 divided by 13, I was doing 300, but that tells you how many,
15 a week,
15.
15.38.
Yeah, so 15 people a week is how many you need to be talking to. That's the number of phone calls you need to make. So we're talking about 2 a day. You know, is how you accomplish that. When they're not breaking this down any further here, you know, I mean.
2
it's-
phone calls a day?
That would be if you worked 7 days a week.
This,
Sorry, that's right. 3 phone calls a day, yes.
Three phone calls a day.
Database.
I have over 600 in mine.
Yeah, but we're talking about 200, we're talking about the 200. So, but you could take 600 and divide that by, what's 600 divided by 13?
Don't make me math.
6, 5, 15.
46.15.
46.15 and divide that by 5.
8,
8, yeah.
8.5.
8 phone calls a day.
9.23.
9, yeah.
Day?
So 9 phone calls a day.
And some of your phone calls are going like this. Hello, you've reached Guy, but I'm not here, so please leave a message. You say, hey, Guy, it's Brad. I just wanted to reach out to you. What's going on, buddy? Let's get together and have a coffee. Or
But also what Brad said is he does kind of pick and choose who's gonna get. If his time is limited, he's picking and choosing who is worthy of the phone call.
That was
That's,
Guy that said that.
yeah,
Brad
Guy,
didn't say
yeah,
that.
Guy
but
said
yes.
that. That's
But
what I
here's
did,
the deal,
pointing
you
at
do
Guy.
want
I'm
to,
sorry.
so we were talking about a little bit something different at that
Oh,
point.
I didn't realize, okay.
But, I mean, we were talking about if there was somebody new in our database versus past clients.
On the phone.
I thought
That's
you
your
were,
off.
no, this is actually before that, but that's
Oh,
okay.
So there are now, but the right answer is you don't use call bias. That's why they say use
Okay.
D2, so that you are calling everybody that's there.
Okay.
There are times that I may have to make that choice and that
What is
may
DTD2?
Nobody knows, but it's
Do-
a system.
do the
the-
database today.
It's D,
Is that what it
T,
is?
D, do the database, and then there's the number 2. I don't know what the 2 is for.
Yeah, and well, the 2 may be because it's 2 letters. And then you're doing 2
Oh, yeah.
letters of the alphabet. And it's a smart plan in command so that it basically by statistical averages balances out your week. You know, so there are some weeks that are gonna be lighter than others.
Got it.
So this is my copy, but you can get one.
Yeah.
Basically, you tag everybody. in
Yeah,
here.
right?
I've
One of
seen
these
this
tags.
before.
And then each week it tells you who to call based on their,
Who to
their last.
call, who
Yes,
to text,
Yeah.
who to call.
this is call.
So, and we spent a lot of
Call
time,
Starts with
we
A.
spent a lot of time talking about breaking that down to the daily goal yesterday. When
But this
we
is
broke
far as
that down
calling.
as far as the,
That's one of your-
how many
If their
appointments to
name
go
starts
on.
with
So
N.
that's kind of the same thing that I'm doing there.
I'm not.
But
Be hip on the texting.
we talked
See, I
about
don't
that,
mind doing
the.
texting, But I also have
uh,
Twilio, so I could make a text.
But what happens is you get through the alphabet 4 times in a year. So that's your 4 quarterly calls. If you follow this.
Ladies.
We were not trying to. say-
Her mind got blown.
I got more.
Just add that
This,
to
Yeah.
this seems
Damn.
like,
I should.
So that's the most, so.
so I was out of the room when you guys talked about MOFR. All I can figure is making offers for immediate response. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what does that exactly mean?
So that would be like, one of the direct ones was, hey, I just listed this house, call me today to see it.
And that would be like a contact you send that to?
Could be a contact, could be a message on Facebook, it could be, it could be anything.
All right, that makes sense. I wrote down some examples that I thought you were talking about, so.
Yeah. So anyways, taking your database, breaking that down into those touches, what you need to do daily. The best way for the calls is D2, and remembering that some of these are gonna be bulk things, and if you do plan an event and reaching out to them, leaving the message, where you're, like you were talking about, leaving the message. The best people that I know, make sure to, don't tell them, I need you to call me back. Be like, hey, Brad, I'm sorry I missed you. I was just touching base to see how things are going. We'll try and connect some other time. Or you may say, I may give you a call later in the week. Don't put it on them to have to call you back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You take ownership of it, and then, cause hopefully if you've got 46 maybe Mondays are your heavier days and you may get to talk to 25 of them. So the rest of the week, you've got less that you need to do and you're following up with more from that side. And combining the smart plans to utilize that, whether it's with Twilio, if you use that, the other smart fans where it could be the neighborhood search that we've talked about. Now, there are other great smart plans that are there that you could develop and create opportunities to share with them. You may want to create some, maybe you do a monthly video where you want them to see your face. Wow! Share that. That'd be fun, right?
They'll get a shave first.
Yeah.
They really hit that pretty hard at family reunion. One of the speakers said, if you're not doing it, you're losing business. I mean, they hit
You're
it.
not doing what?
Doing
pretty hard.
videos?
Doing videos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've started playing with more and more myself, just because.
Videos are big for building know, like, and trust.
And
Because they
it's
see
funny.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I know, and it's hard for me because I don't watch many videos. Now, I've started watching more and more reels and things like that. I don't ever have the volume up. So always having closed captioning on is important so that I can read along because I don't, and part of it, sometimes I'm sitting there next to my wife or sitting there doing something else. So I'm not in a place where I want the volume up. So sometimes you want it, but anyways. So
Where would that fit? That would probably fit maybe in the same place as a newsletter. if you were
Yes.
doing
Yeah.
that
That's where I would
on a
put it.
regular basis.
Yes.
Of course, you would do it, it would become more than the 36 touches, right? Because you're gonna do it in addition.
No, you could do it, you could do it as part of those 26 touches. Maybe if you're doing it once a month, maybe it's a newsletter at one time and a video the next time. Or,
I've
Just
asked this
how we
question
set
to a
that.
couple other people, actually both of the prior teachers, and I'm curious what you would have to say when it comes to, you say no call bias, but I've got a bunch of people from California, a bunch of people from other places we've lived in my database, because they just came over from my phone. To me, yes, I completely understand there's the possibility for referral business. But I also believe, maybe erroneously, that that's a higher or a much smaller percentage of possibility than local people giving me referral business.
so let's flip that around. I'll tell you about how I lost something. I'll use it. So what if you call them and say, hey, I hope you know I'm in real estate, selling real estate here, but one thing I'm beginning to learn more and more about is my connection and some of our team's connection to people all around the country, and actually have connected with some people in Fresno, California, where you're at. So if you hear anybody looking to buy and sell, not just here, but anywhere, let me know and let me help them find an agent that would be good for them.
I get that.
And I didn't do that. I half-heartedly did it. And my friend works for the federal government in DC and bought $1 million house.
Without asking you for a recommendation.
Yep.
Okay.
And he also bought a house before that, he had bought a house in Colorado for his mom. So
When it comes to cultivating the database, I can see like sending them newsletters and stuff where I'm also verbalizing that in the newsletter. But I don't know that I see calling them 4 times a year.
well, it depends on your relationship with them. Is it?
Right? Do I
Yeah.
have to have that calling relationship with every single person that I transferred from my phone?
You may not want that person in your database.
Okay.
I mean, that's the other side to think of it. If it's someone you don't want to talk to and don't want to have that conversation with, you can take them out of your database. Now,
But I want to send them emails. I don't mind doing that.
I mean, and you can choose to do whatever you want in your business. It's your business.
Right.
From an ideal situation, yeah, you would continue to develop that relationship. If they're important to develop, is it, you know, I mean, there are times and there are people that you're like, yeah, I'm not there anymore. You know, and maybe, you know, for whatever that reason that is, there can be reasons that it,
Mostly it's just that when I moved to a different location, now I'm all where I'm at. And I'm not really keeping up with the people that, even though they're nice people and they were my friends at the time, and that's probably a personality problem on my fault or a character fault on my part, but it is what it, and it's not like they're reaching out to me all the time, so.
No. But you're reaching out with a different purpose. You can make them feel like you're reaching out just because you want to connect with them. But what if they let you refer 4 deals next year?
Okay, I hear this.
You know, I mean,
Mhm.
I understand your, I'm gonna call it limiting belief there, and like, that's not where I want to spend my time.
Mhm.
And maybe that's right. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, but maybe there's a possibility too. So
Okay.
it could be, but it is your business, so you can choose how you want to do that.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can, yeah,
I hear all of that. I understand what you're saying.
so. So how has, man, I can never, I always get close. How has your, as far as mindset around relationship and the 36 touch, what has changed the most for you so far?
Well, it's giving me a panic attack.
Okay.
Same.
I think,
Glad I'm not the only one.
continue. I think we all should look at each other and just say, no.
No,
Get used to it.
like, don't do it.
No,
Don't do it.
do it, but just get used to it. It's okay. It's all right. Just make the phone call. They're gonna say, hey, how you doing? Or they might say, I don't remember you. What? Who are you? Leave me alone. I've had some interesting conversations on the phone.
I do think we need to get past ourselves
Yeah.
and just set up a plan and start working the plan
Mhm.
and wait and see what the results are
Mhm.
before we try to second guess whether we can do it or not.
Mhm. And who's valuable, who's not.
Yeah, so I can tell a story from my previous job. Our largest supporter we had for over 10 years came from a 10-minute conversation. And the first time they started supporting us, we didn't even know who they were. I mean, we really had to think, because it was a 10-minute conversation.
Wow,
And they said for 10 years, they were our largest supporter.
wow.
That's awesome.
And you know what I mean? Like,
You didn't see that
I
coming.
mean, I just spent a lot of
Do it.
money, time and effort and work to get a small supporter, and then I don't know where this came. So you never discount anybody.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
That is
Good story.
absolutely, and that is very true in my world. Like when I look at some of my raving fans. Some of them have come from places I didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
So that's fair. That is fair. That's really cool though.
Yeah.
So cool. So always taking the time to reflect, training, and sometimes you guys with this every day. I know you can bombard and you're like, oh, what is it? You know, and it's starting to pile up. We're in week 3. You know, it's a grind through it. And utilizing the time to take, okay, we've talked about a whole lot of different things. What 1 or 2 things can you really use to make a change, make an impact?
I think what would be a great thing for everyone is to get into script practice. Start calling each other, start, be the bad guy, be the good guy, and just get used to doing it. Because, I don't know why you're here, but if you're here to put money on the table, put bread on the table, you're either gonna starve to death or you're gonna freaking rock and roll. So just do it. Right, Sherry?
Sure.
Remember the most important things, which goes right in our first step. So we're gonna, we've got, for the rest of the time, obviously, this is the most important time, is the time where you can actually take some things, learn it. So to begin with is role play conversation with a partner. Top agents do practice every day. And we can, so partnering up, doing some role play, you guys have scripts in the back. If you guys want to do more of a group role play, you want to do some, depends on where you guys really are, what you're struggling with. I'm here to lead something. We can take a few minutes to do that before getting into calls, what that really looks like, so.
I gotta go put some bread on the table.
Uh-oh.
I want Ann to call me because I bought a book from her a long time ago when she was selling her book. So give me a call.
I gotta go make some calls.
All right, ring, ring, ring.
Hello, this is Brad. May I help you?
Hi, Brad, this is Ann Carrico. We met a while ago at a homeschool convention. I don't know
Great
if you
job,
remember
guys.
that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Get one more day of me.
Wow, Ann, really? How long ago was that?
Oh, might have been a couple years now.
Yeah. And
I don't mean
I'd love to
to
talk to you
bother
more
you, but
about
I've
the,
actually gotten started in real
actual-
estate.
cool.
And so I just wanted to let you know about my career
GSBOR,
change.
CMAs.
Yeah, I'm actually,
And,
And
um,
RPR.
I was working on one this morning.
See if there's anything I can do to help you along that
Sure.
line.
We have a lot of
So where are you licensed at?
still.
So I'm with Keller Williams in Springfield, Missouri.
So.
Oh, so your license is Missouri?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, you know what? Can you do anything for me over here in Denver? I moved to the mountains.
Oh, good for you. That sounds like fun. So here's the thing, if you are at all
So, and
interested
this
in
is-
buying or selling yourself, or if you know anybody who is in your local area, I have a huge referral network and I can find somebody in your area who's gonna be a quality real estate agent for you.
Here.
Would that be helpful to you?
Initial.
Yes, it would. In fact, what's in Colorado? I don't wanna say Denver. Let's go Loveland. Do you have anybody in Loveland?
I'm sure I can find somebody if you give
So
me.
how's that work?
Is that?
So what I'll do is I will find an agent for you and I can, I'll interview a couple of them and make sure I find one that's gonna be really quality for you. And then I will send them your contact information
That's cool.
and they will get in touch with you. Does that sound like it would work for you?
They work great. So was that so hard?
No?
And then really like this is.
That was good. Real good. And I think you-
It's one of those things, once I
This is
just
always
make my
hard.
mind up to do it, I can do it fine.
Updates.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
just feels
it
like a
is.
big wall
You know,
in front of me
A nineteen
until I
ninety
actually
home can.
We'll
feel
just
almost.
put my big girl pants
Mhm.
on and do it.
Put on Big
And
Floyd.
that's part of
You
why.
take one brick out of the wall at a time.
Right?
And if you need to, call me up and I'll play the game. What do you want me to say today? You want to be ugly and say no, or do you want to be happy and say yes?
You know.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I'm
And
phased.
so then I go from
I think I
here.
might
I
have
mean,
a
obviously
break.
this
Well, I know I was noticing you. I'm so sorry. I hope you get to feeling better.
This is just not going away.
seemed made.
Yeah, you should go home and rest. I mean, rest. I mean, just let all this stuff go.
The thought of sitting here for another hour and a half is just,
So you don't use the big report.
Why would you be here another hour and a
I
half?
created my own.
well, whatever the time is, I don't know,
name,
2:30 to,
and then
approximately
this is
4.
Or whatever property tax.
No.
I have to leave at 3,
okay, well,
so
technically it goes till 4. Technically from 12 to 2 is instruction and 2 to 4 is,
work time.
Activities.
So I just submitted a request to use our building
Okay.
Yeah.
that night.
Yeah.
So that.
That's how I present.
So
you know
I'll
what I
find
mean?
out
Like
about that in the next
I
couple
come in, I
days.
don't come in with a lot of
And
bells and
then,
whistles on a listing appointment.
I
I'm like.
know, it's just gonna be like,
sit down, take
I
a look
feel
at the
like
house, let's look at where we're at.
we
you know,
may
here-
want to
here's
have
part of our
a
process, what
catered
I'm
lunch,
gonna
but we
do
could
for you.
do like,
Catered lunches are good. They like that. People like that.
Mhm.
Price.
yeah, so that would be in the sign up
Yeah,
fee.
I would say we do.
I would
probably
say
pretty
some of their
similar.
registration
Yeah.
fee needs to go to their goodie bag.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the
Some
big
of it
thing I
needs to
have,
go
is
to their lunch,
there's part of me that
maybe.
So
Realize-
you
extra
don't do a
for
lot of
lunch.
the pre-listing.
And then,
residential.
The rest of it goes to com,
I don't.
I don't either. I
so we
just-
can make a
I mean,
pretty generic,
typically.
small goodie bag.
Yeah, I think give them one for free. It's not that bad. We could have Infinite Kitchen. They
I
go
just don't
down,
do a whole lot.
go down to Bolivar. Infinite Kitchen does a great job. They cater.
I don't
to
do
us
much cold
quantum.
call and
Oh,
I
yeah?
just, I
But
found
they're good.
fire,
It's free
yeah.
food.
I don't,
Well, maybe you can
I
be in
think
charge of
it
that.
can be effective.
Okay.
Just
but
part of
lunch
it, I
for
think, is
free,
how
who's
some
paying
people I
for it?
worked with have treated.
Well,
like they
how many
would,
people are gonna
like, if
show?
people didn't keep
Well,
them,
the
then
last time I
don't
did
care.
something like
That's
this, I
that's
had
marketing materials
between
they've
80
got
and
in their
100.
hands, So but I just,
And I'm
I
feeling
don't get.
like a
And part of it, and this is
$40 registration
fallacy
fee or a
for me,
$50
that
registration
we're all
fee.
dealing with this,
And that way
it's been
COM
this
can
since
have,
2020.
that's a good chunk of money.
Yeah, so if we did
2020.
50,
I did.
21.
yeah,
was
we
a-
could use some of it for lunch out. That kind of, that numbers, that, I didn't have that big of numbers when I did
That
my
was the year I
policy.
had, I think
And I
had a
paid
few
for
months
it.
where I did.
Yeah, well,
But that
that's-
kind of numbers, yeah.
Previous year,
Unless I'm,
previous-
you
For
don't take me
previous
wrong, unless I'm
career,
guaranteed to get
not
some
not a
return out
real
of it.
estate career,
you know?
but when I worked. as a
I
salary job,
think that we
I'm like,
could,
this-
Yeah.
And I had had
do
a
some
job
door
offer to go
prizes too
back
that they
in
could-
June of 2020.
they could buy door
They offered
prize
me that
tickets
job in
for.
March of 2020.
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to do is sit down and look at the
That's
financial
the
part of it.
reality.
That was, I don't mind putting it together.
Yes, it would
you know,
have been.
Financing it,
I mean, I would.
whatever I can
It's
finance.
not gonna be, our church isn't gonna charge us anything to have it there, and they've got tables and chairs, so we're good with that.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah, but the whole using
registration fee
RPR,
will
the
pay for
automated
the minor
ones, is
things,
I
and then we
started
can also
checking
put
that, or even
lunch down.
sometimes it's estimate. Do you know what they
and
might?
then,
Like, I don't
uh,
ask them if they've looked at his estimate.
we can get
But that
businesses to donate things for door prizes that we
Even just
can
the-
use.
That's-
And in the
Good
goodie
there.
bag, we can put the business information.
Cause it's
You know,
out there, it's.
These
being
people
promoted.
donated some part of what you got today, and so,
Kind
you know,
of,
go shop your local businesses, that kind of thing, and thank you for, we could have them bring a hygiene product of some kind for COM. They can bring
So I just bought.
anything that they want. We have a collection box for that. It could be any kind of hygiene product. And then their registration fee, all but a few dollars would go to COM. So that's kind of a nice
He's an
thing.
individual.
Right.
investor.
Like if they bring a hygiene item, maybe they get a door prize ticket for free.
All right, so
I was
Infinite
thinking
Kitchen
about
is
it, it's
roughly
GSPR,
$13 per head.
you know,
Mhm.
do it.
So what we need to do is sit down and,
He said it cost.
and then we
him
need to get
$7.
sponsors, like you said.
I
Do that.
think that,
And I'm thinking, that's not good for us.
No, but I know
Carl
there's some of
mentioned
those,
colleges
there's,
last week. Anyway, I think he would, Dogstone
Oh, yeah,
inspections, I
yeah.
think that he would sponsor.
I think my guy out of Stockton, the wallet guy. Hammonds, yeah, he would sponsor. So just start reaching out. I mean, because Stockton and Bolivar aren't that far apart.
No,
That's really funny.
no, I think it's a way to show
Yeah.
that really our community, I mean, Stockton people come to Bolivar to shop.
I was talking
And,
about that, I was just talking in general.
We go to Stockton
Go
for
for the
lunch.
next
So,
Yeah, right.
okay, what we need to do, so we definitely need to pick a date to do it. Then we need to break everything down backwards.
We already got the
Yeah, the
date,
15th or whatever it was. I wrote it
19th,
down.
20th.
19th, 20th.
So the breakdown, I mean, I used to have a business and this is what I did. So the breakdown of everything to do it, I mean, like to set
We
up.
still
we're
have you
gonna
tomorrow,
set
right,
up
Guy?
Tables and chairs.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're going to have to.
See you later, Ann.
Bye,
Bye.
Sherry. I was sat next to Danielle this morning in coaching.
Oh, was she here this morning?
Yeah, she
I should have
broadcast fast.
come.
Yeah.
She always